Live from Mortgage One Studios, Russ Clark Show. Derek's with me.
Good morning.
Nice to have you in, man.
It's nice to be
I
in.
mean, you didn't have to go far. It's your studio.
Well, it's weird. You
You
tell
know
me
you're here.
I have to bring the key. So once in a while you let me into my own room. It's fine.
Yeah, I'd let you in. Edward's already up sending messages.
He said you're late by 13 seconds.
Not yet.
Not yet.
I mean, he looks for things to correct me on.
So he said, put the hat on to cover up the shiny dome.
No, I
Is
did that
what
one on my own till last minute. I jumped up. I said, "Man, I don't have a hat on. It's going to cause a lot of glare." we're gonna get that done.
Is that why the former studio was always dark? You
No.
didn't have the extra.
No, because the former owners wouldn't buy light bulbs.
Got it. Okay.
And you've got like regular lights that you'd see like in a regular studio or in a photo shop or something.
Yeah, I had to make sure there was enough shine off your dome to make it worthwhile.
Well, it's good. And I do want to work on those cameras even more to zoom them in and stuff like that.
Okay.
We're going to be playing with it, obviously, as time goes on.
Well, and this next week we'll clean up some of the wiring now that you're comfortable with the setup. But
yeah, I haven't tripped it all.
You've assimilated well to the studio, though.
I've been watching myself.
You have, but again, you have assimilated well. You haven't missed a beat.
No, we started right up. I missed the 2 days, which I would have missed anyway.
Well, you had kind of an excuse. You had a physical tune-up.
Yeah, I did.
So
yeah, they did well.
And please stop putting the magnet thing on your chest.
I did that. It won't harm the instrument, the pacemaker, and that's what we're talking about, pacemaker. What it does, it puts it into a safe mode where it goes to a preset.
But it's not a wireless charging port.
There is no charger. There's no charger. It's 12 years. I got 12 years, and I was glad they put the extended range battery in there.
Didn't drop the old 6-volt battery.
No, I didn't get the 6-month battery. I got the 12-year, which is good.
So you missed 2 days anyway. But even with all these changes, you've not missed a beat, and you've still done your research, and you've still got an inch and a half worth of paperwork.
Oh yeah. Well, and I actually I went to my shop this morning at 3 a.m. I just been getting up a little earlier than normal. Normally I used to come in at 4. I get up at 3. What I found out, since we don't have any real setup of commercials and breaks, and I really haven't invited a lot of people in, that 3-hour time frame
is a lot
longer live than it used to be. When Rush Limbaugh used to be on the air each time, and it was like 35 minutes an hour is all he spoke. I've been speaking 60 minutes an hour, literally 60 minto hour. So I've had a lot more material. So I gave myself an extra hour in the morning to read and to study. But of course, I'm always looking at the news anyway throughout the day, and whatever things are happening, I'm trying to.
And there's a lot going on, and it changes so fast that what you read Wednesday morning is now different.
Especially with Trump.
Yeah.
Trump does change. Now, a question on whether that's good or bad. Now, it depends on what side of the aisle you're on, unfortunately. And it shouldn't be that way. On either side, it shouldn't be. I mean, we should be looking at it like Fetterman. I think Fetterman had a stroke, and he came back more healthy. And he actually looks at things and filters it through his own conscience, not through a political, subset of morals or ideologue. He does. Amazing.
And I do think that we as a country would be better if everybody just stopped and said, let me look at this from a common sense perspective, not, I don't like that color, I don't like that person, because sometimes the person you don't like might represent the direction that we all need to go. Good or bad, left or right, it sometimes needs to be looked at exactly the way he is. And so, I appreciate the fact that he was the lone Democrat that came up and shook President Trump's hand at the State of the Union.
Like it's almost like there was civility.
Yeah.
And Ronald Reagan was not loved by the left because it was not, they were not moving forward the agenda items the left wanted. But like, Tip O'Neill still had dinner with him. They still talked, and publicly they disagreed.
Yeah.
That's not like that anymore. It's disagreeable now. It's whatever you like, I don't like.
Well, and I think what you started with is looking at it through your own lens and filtering it through some morals and ethics. It's amazing how many people are fighting against things, even if it's to the betterment of their
Yeah.
community, their society. And it's almost hard to watch to think, how are you that angry at something that you would fight against something for the betterment of people?
Because we've been pushed constantly to demonize. We've been pushed constantly to to label Hitler. He's evil. He's doing bad things, and so anything he says is going to be terrible. And they've been successful at causing the country to be more angry.
And if you notice, and I try to be conscious when I'm in here with you, but
To not call me Hitler.
no, you notice how many people add adverbs and adjectives to things to frame it in the way they want, rather than just talking about what happened.
Of course.
And that's the interesting thing when you're pulling up these news stories. You look right on. I don't care if you're on Fox News, CNN, Newsmax. The adverbs and adjectives that color the headline prior to actually getting into the facts already set the tone. And
Of course.
and you look at some of the headlines that are the clickbait, that the headline is actually written in the opposite
Can be.
to get you to
Yeah.
read the story, but you're colorizing and polarizing the people reading it prior to them actually even knowing the facts.
It's worse. It's worse on YouTube. If you go through YouTube or something and look at the headlines of the little videos, it'll say outrageous things like Trump resigns or something. Stuff I didn't know. It's so many non-truths. But then when you get into the videos, they'll say, "Well, he should resign" or something. No, it's and you just have to sort through it. We're not gonna change it. There's nothing illegal wrong with it. I personally don't like that. It makes it easier for me to research if there was a lot of truth in the headline.
But you are willing to sit down and read things and search for the truth, not simply blindly believe something that is out on the internet. And you see a lot of these people that, and again, I have people that come in even to the office and want to ask political positions and ask beliefs prior to getting into a mortgage. You think, well, wait a minute, how does that change whether you want a mortgage or not? My
So
beliefs, it shouldn't. It's your budget. Are you doing the right loan for that person? But so many people come in and ask that question, and you just think, where did we stop thinking about, hey, let's grow the country and it's the freedom, it's the pursuit of happiness. Where
everyone claims those things. I mean, whether you're a Democrat or Republican, you claim those things. You claim it's about happiness. You claim it's about growing the country. But their definitions change, and that's where we really get into trouble. Is that particularly the left has taken words and redefined them.
Yeah.
But I think they honestly believe that everyone would be happier. And Edward talks about this like sarcastically. Everybody won't be happy if you weren't burdened with the problems of having to decide what you wanted to do today. Let the state do it for you.
Well, the irony is you're not more than a year or two away from AI doing that for you.
Oh no.
And how many of the jobs that we do right now,
I can't be replaced.
You can't, because you have the face for radio. But there are a lot of, again, you could program AI to have a talk radio show.
There's been stuff on that, like on YouTube now. But Victor Davis Hansen has had people steal his identity and make programs from Victor Davis. And I listened to a couple of them. I said, well, that's not him. I mean, it looks like him, but it's not.
But you're starting to have that intellectual bit. Now, connecting these wires, no, we don't have a thing to do that yet. But we've clearly gone down. Look at any of the fast food restaurants. All you need is an ATM and you've replaced the cashier.
Being done right now.
It's already done. You already have fast food restaurants that have automated the kitchen. So if you can automate a fast food worker position, soup to nuts, at what point do you automate, whether it's insurance or mortgage or financial planning?
A lot of it's been more automated. Look at your legal clerks that have disappeared. I don't have any close friends that are lawyers to talk to them about it directly, but a lot of the research that's being done now, they don't have the mountains of books on the shelf.
No, they used to sell the books, and that was somebody's business. And selling the books went away because now it's a CD and it's a download website, and now it's just and AI connected research. In the mortgage industry, we have 4,000 pages worth of things for Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, FHA, VA. You now have a AI research assistant that I can literally type in a question and it'll spit you out almost all the answers smarter than an underwriter
Right.
that you don't even need to know. So you could have a brand new loan officer come in, type a few questions, say, yes, Mr. Customer, that's what we need to do right here. So you're having a lot of things replaced. So go back to what the reason we brought that up is if you have people who don't want to think about what they need to do today and psychologically they want this, hey, give me everything so I don't have to do the work. It's going to get replaced anyway if you're not careful.
Pay attention to Musk. He talks about displacement, and it's always happened in our history. Every time, you invent the cotton gin, displacement, hydraulics for a backhoe. Guys with shovels go, oh man, what am I going to do?
Look at the train. You didn't need a wagon train of mules pulling carts across the desert. Now you have one machine and 2 or 3 guys.
But this is going to be a little more extreme, especially when Elon Musk, if this thing comes forth, has a robot that can work in an area designed for humans. It's a robot that walks on 2 legs, has 2 arms, and can visually see what's going on. Well, that's not a specialized robot like you make for a restaurant that's called Flippy that flips hamburgers and it just has 1 arm and all that. This is whatever is designed for humans. This robot can go sit in the car seat and drive the car and do all that. That one would be a bigger displacement, assuming those could be done in volume and achieve the things. Achieve the things they think. Well, Elon says it could be $20,000.
But think of what
you'd replace everybody in this building if you
just
could buy it.
Think of what you just said, and there's the issue where and again, there's arguments on both sides. But when you have a state like California raising the minimum wage on food service workers,
oh man.
Except if you sell a loaf of bread that is baked on site, so you get
that's a special law for one company.
Yeah.
But
if you say, hey, if you're a small restaurant owner in California and you have to pay somebody, pick a number, $20 an hour.
Yeah, it's getting there.
Yeah. $20 an hour, 40 hours a week, that's $40,000 a year. You probably would replace them with a robot that you buy one time with some software upgrades, and it's cheaper for your restaurant.
Well, they make $40,000 a year, but the employer has to pay a lot more than that. Because you've got all the unemployment insurance and you got the Social Security, you've got retirement, possibly medical, and then there's liability.
Workers' comp.
They might trip and fall. If the robot breaks, he's not going to sue you.
Which is why, again, you see some of the things that are pushed actually push the detriment to the same people you think you're trying to do something for.
Oh yeah, and I don't know where it's going to become, but.
Hey,
we probably need to find something else to do because we're not going to be doing what we do.
I think you already have it.
I just talk.
Keep doing the show.
Yeah.
Keep talking.
I just keep talking.
Drink the coffee. Keep talking. Wear the hat. Don't show the dome. We're good.
Some people have been concerned. Politicians have been concerned about robots because, well, if a robot replaces a worker, how do we collect taxes? Like unemployment tax and workman's comp and all that stuff. They've already done some things in some states to look at, well, just because you have a robot doesn't mean you get out of it type stuff. Well, they can legislate anything stupid they want,
right.
But
well, technically, if you look at it, you're talking about income tax. And so, if you're not paying somebody income tax, I'm sorry, you're already, well, ironically, let's think if you went out and bought $1 million worth of robots for your business, is that equipment?
Yeah.
Which means you're actually writing it off.
Yeah.
And you're depreciating the equipment.
Yeah.
So, if you got rid of $1 million worth of salaries, then the government's not collecting income tax on that. But if the business replaced it with equipment, now you actually increase the amount of depreciation and deductions that business has.
Yeah.
It's
going to cause some adjustments, assuming this thing comes out in volume and it comes out.
I don't think.
Who knows?
I don't think you can say if it does. I think you say when it does, because if you're already seeing the prototypes, out there right now, and if you went back to your grandparents and said, we're going to do all of these technologically advanced things that you and I have now, what would they say?
They wouldn't be able they wouldn't be able to really, comprehend exactly how that would change their lives or what that would do other than it sounds great.
No,
Yeah.
somebody back then who was used to the telegraph, that it
Yeah.
was very interesting that you could send an SOS across the country.
Mhm.
You and I now hold a supercomputer in our hand, and we have not one, but two, but three really
Yeah.
supercomputers here. Plus, you have enough technology to get your signal around the globe. It's not just an AM signal, it's not just an FM signal. You could literally have somebody halfway around the world listening to you right now based on this
Sure.
small subset of equipment.
That didn't happen that long ago.
So the question is not if it happens, it's obviously a how soon will it happen? And will it happen in your lifetime?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, everything's, changing rapidly now. It's not you don't have to wait a year for a change. It's
No, you wait for the next software update.
wait for a day or 2,
Well,
those kind of things.
and you now have AI that the AI is writing code.
Yeah,
So what used to take guys a year to rewrite code and debug the code is now a couple of days.
now and let's talk about AI a little bit and how it's being used right now. The government, I don't know if it was Hegseth or another general, somebody was talking about it, the misinformation that's going out on social media. On social media, particularly from Iran. Iran is putting out social media on their winning the war and, all of that. They said they sank the Abraham Lincoln, and they had video proof. In fact, they have video proof of it being, sunk, and then they said it surfaced again, and they sank it again.
W So
You
a
know,
do-over. Got it.
it's a do-over, and it's obviously AI generated and all that, but one of the comments, and I might have been Pete Hegseth, was that they run these things back through other AIs to detect if it's AI generated,
Mhm.
and some of that's coming back inconclusive. They're even struggling with it.
Yeah.
The AI is struggling with, I don't know, it's pretty good if it's a fake.
And
Yeah.
when you look at that though, where you and I started with use your common sense and your own filter. Stop looking at the adverbs and adjectives.
Mm.
When you put that out, if you're Iran and you put that out that you sunk the Lincoln, how many people in the United States hear that, don't do any other research, and then go, "Oh my gosh, we have to X," whatever X is, whether it's
Mhm.
fight harder or
Yeah.
pull out, whatever
Yeah.
your X is, you take that piece of information, which was a fake psyop, if you
Right.
will, and I don't think most people understand what a true psyop is.
Well, uh, basically, it's misinformation now. We've just claimed and, get people convinced that something not true is happening.
But
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
again, it's the misdirection, the mistruth,
Yeah.
and when you say that ship could have been sunk online, how many Americans will watch that, not see anything else, and react to that,
Oh,
which never happened?
I think there's many, probably the Trump haters that would look at that and say, "Well, they're just covering it up," which,
Yeah,
is ridiculous.
clearly.
But the misinformation and that kind of stuff. Now, I started talking off a little bit about Trump changed his mind, so rapidly, which Trump does.
Mhm.
Uh, but then they take that, you know, opportunity, the press does, to say, "There you go again, you're changing your mind," when he's not necessarily. And the case in point, he came out early on in his presidency and in his candidacy that oil needs to come down because oil is a big benefit. It's what's causing inflation. It's causing prices in the grocery stores and everything else to go up, and we need to get gas down. Well, right now we have gas, and I got gas this morning for 360, 370 a gallon, which is really different than what it was a month ago, which
Mhm.
I think was $3. So it's up percentage wise very heavily, and it's expected based on what's going on with the Strait of Hormuz
Yes.
and the shortage of oil and all that. There's an indication that's probably going to be temporary.
Mhm.
Temporary meaning that as soon as they get it open, and some of his generals a couple days ago said possibly a week. If that's true, it'll be relieved pretty quickly.
Quickly.
But Trump was talking about it, and he said something to the effect, and I don't have it directly in front of me. I don't even know if I copy. Oh yeah, he does. I do have it. Something that the United States is the largest oil producer in the world by far. So when oil prices go up, we make a lot of money. True. And that is true. Uh, so there's people in the press that says, aha, see, he's changed his mind again. Now he wants the prices to go up, which isn't what he's saying. I guess he's looking for a positive in it.
Yeah.
It's kind of a weak positive. I mean, is it true? Yeah, it's true. You're going to make more money. Is it true that's going to cause problems? Well, yeah, it is. I mean, people that are buying diesel and all that, or for transportation and everything, those kind of spikes adjust things very quickly for them on ability to operate.
So when you talk about the Straits of Hormuz, it's not just the oil going through there, but it's also two other chemicals that
Well,
really,
yeah, fertilizers,
yeah.
particularly for us, for that you're going to feel in the agricultural industry. But it's hard for me to look at it and know. I don't know the lead times. I don't know the inventory turns. I don't know any of that in that industry. But it's hard for me to believe that if it shuts down for 1 week, that the prices go way up.
I
I
think
don't know.
that's a little bit of fear. But no, you've got the nitrogen, the fertilizer coming through, you've got sulfur coming through, which is a big one actually. And then you've got oil. Now, they've always talked about from the time that drop of oil is pumped out of the ground in the Middle East to the time it's in your gas tank here in the States, it's 30 days.
Really, they can refine it that fast?
That's the stat I've always seen is
I
it's
don't
a
know.
30-day turn from here to here. Now,
Okay.
if that's the case, yeah, a 1 week, a 2 week bump would cause a little bit of heartache. But again, it's no different than think of what APS used to do here. You've got Palo Verde nuclear plant that is very difficult to spin up and spin down quickly.
Yeah.
So you've got some consistent production, but if you needed that extra bump because you got a huge hot day, you got to fire up the coal plants, you got to fire up the natural gas plants,
It's more natural gas. I don't
And-
think we have a coal plant.
and you could spin those up quickly,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
Okay, so if it's a cloudy day, it's not like you spin up the solar plants
No.
or the wind turbines. So you go back to, okay, how do you get this turned on fast? So if gas prices went up and if the Straits of Hormuz are closed, how do you spin up production here in the States with
Alternatives.
okay, that takes you more than about a 48-second lead time.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
even if that doesn't open up, I think you're going to see oil production ramp up here in the States. And that's
Well,
ultimately
it already is and rapidly, but that takes time.
Yeah. So to
And-
overcome that, there really isn't a way to put a Band-Aid on those 2, 3, 4 weeks, whatever that.
No,
that
but I don't
time's
think
gonna
we're
be.
due for a gas line anytime soon.
No.
And the gas prices go up will affect everything enough to where consumption's going to go down. So that may help balance it out too.
A little, but we're not in the summer. We're not in the vacation season. This is simply March. Everybody who is in the Midwest, which you look at some of the storms that are going to pound the Midwest right now, up in central Wisconsin, I've got a customer up there. I've got family up there. They're expecting 20 inches of snow on Sunday.
God bless.
But does that mean they need to go buy heating oil today, or have they already bought that months ago before the winter?
Mostly, the hounds on heating oil will have, months supplies. They top them off.
So based on where we are in the calendar, you're not going to see a lot of people needing to go scramble for heating oil. You're not seeing the summer driving season for vacations. If there was a time to have this happen, it's kind of now as opposed to June, July, correct?
Right.
So,
I think the Strait of Hormuz, I believe Trump, I believe the military is going to find an answer to get tankers through there.
Yeah.
And as soon as they can make it safe, which, even though Iran has had devastation, 80%, 90% of their ability to strike gone, 10% of their ability to strike can sink a tanker.
Yeah.
no
Think of
one-
the width, and I don't think a lot of people understand how narrow the Straits of
Yeah.
Hormuz is.
It's 47 miles.
It's 21.
21?
21 miles. So if you said we're sitting here, 4 miles from the border, the US-Mexico border,
Mhm.
straight this direction, and if you went another 17 miles this way, have you even gotten a telegraph?
Close.
So literally for all of us here in Yuma and anybody listening, think of the metal fence to the base of the mountains. That's legitimately what the Straits of Hormuz are. And you're pushing tankers both directions through there, and that's what they're trying to get a safety zone around.
Right.
So
Well, it doesn't take long for some of those boats and stuff that are speedboats to get out to you real quick. I mean, they could be blown out of the water, but who knows how many and how
knows?
fast. If you had a big tanker that goes very methodically slow and just goes through there, would you risk it? Thinking, I think I can make it.
Yeah,
I don't.
not so much. And
Well, they're not. They're sitting still.
well,
Not
you've
even
seen
trying to.
them. You've seen them parked.
Yeah.
So, you can see where all the boats are sitting in the water. It's no different than watching, the FAA websites where you can see all the planes in the air. You can see they're just sitting there waiting for the green light to say, okay, let's go.
Yeah.
And if you had a oil tanker full of oil, Russ, if it was your boat, would you send it or would you
No,
wait?
I'd hang on to it.
Okay.
I don't want the loss. Edward just sent me some economic news. He said the economy ended 2025 on a weak note, with GDP showing or slowing to 0.7%, while inflation stayed stubborn in January, especially in the core numbers. Democrats will almost certainly use that against Republicans in the midterms. And now Washington is even letting some Russia oil already at sea back onto the market for 30 days to help cool prices, which is happening. I guess that was the phone call after oil surged above 100. The oil is falling this morning, at least until the next tanker gets hit.
It's not wrong.
Yeah, well, no, it's not wrong. Unfortunately, it's not. It's not wrong. Yeah, I guess Russia's able to unload a little bit of oil right now because we're in a pinch. You have a problem with that? That's a tough one.
That's a very tough question that I don't know.
'Cause you don't want to feed him any money that goes into plans to destroy
Yeah.
Ukraine.
Well, and there's,
Mm.
with both Ukraine and Russia oil producing regions, is Ukraine getting their oil out? Where has Russia been selling their oil anyway?
A lot of it have been going to China, but United States just recently started going after these ghost ships that are illegal and taking them captive. I guess in the high seas they can do that.
And we saw that.
Yeah.
And there were several captured. And you say, okay, there's so many things that you and I don't know that are going on in the background.
Right.
And it's so easy to armchair quarterback all of this stuff. Now,
That's what we do.
oh, it is, but you're at least analyzing the data, and you go back to, if there was one of those, man, if everybody just took a little bit more time to analyze what was going on,
Yeah.
and then make a little bit smarter decision, maybe a little bit less sarcasm, but what is the right thing to do with X? I don't know. Let's go look at the data. If you say, is it the right thing to have some oil come back on the market? Maybe. Where's it going? Which country is accepting it? What does it fund? What does it power? I don't know the answer.
And is it the right thing to take it out of the strategic reserves, which they said that I think it's 175 million barrels or so that they want to pump it out. And it's hard to do because Biden took out 400,000 for less than emergency
Well,
reason.
he did that because he wanted to see publicly gas prices go down 10 cents.
For the midterms,
right?
Because he was destroying the gas industry on the other end,
right?
But we don't want it to go up until after the election.
But ultimately, and I want things to be reasonable and affordable.
Mm-hmm.
If your gas price was $3 and now you're telling me it's $3.60, does that truly change your lifestyle?
It doesn't make me happy.
Okay, hold on. But so $2 a gallon gas, would it make you ecstatic?
Yeah.
For maybe what, 12 minutes? And then you'd forget about
it? That's an endorphin I could use. But
it
does change some lifestyles. It does. If the difference between spending $150 to $200 is a difference for a lot of families.
100% agree if you are that tight on everything else.
Right.
So the only reason we all look at gas is because it's on every corner. So you drive down the road and it's visibly in your face all day long. Do you have any idea what brand X fast food restaurant charges for their 44-ounce drink?
No.
But when your grandkids want to go out for food, what do? You go in and you buy the food and you buy the drink, and you're not really comparing the price of the drink yesterday to the next day. But gas and diesel, we look at it 24/7 because it's just the billboard out there and it's a
Well,
great
and we
talking
use a
point.
lot of it. I mean, a lot of people do. My business uses a lot of it. We go through a lot of gas every month. So it it's a line item expense that you hate seeing go up.
Agreed. However, if we all agreed to that, if we all said tactically we want the least gas prices available,
Mhm.
would we be drilling and refining more? Would the Keystone pipeline be completed? Could we, as the United States, have
That's a political thing. And
what?
yes, we would have been doing it, but it was all stopped because of politicians that had other agendas. The green energy, we're going to save the planet and we're going to punish you.
So it's not really about the $3 to 3.60 a gallon gas. We as a country have the resources to
Well,
get
it's
gas where
both.
we want.
But even the green energy lovers like Newsom wants to say he's championing lower prices at the same time that they're shutting down refineries.
So
It's kind of a weird deal.
which you look at those tactical data points and say, wait a minute, you can't say it's blue when it's red.
Yeah,
Period.
they do though.
They do.
Yeah.
And then 12 seconds later, you're going to see the video playing. Oh, I never said that. That's not what I said. That's not what I meant. I meant it's,
Yeah.
so
Well, that's just part of that whole misinformation and strategy that they are slippery. But I think they look slippery, and I think in the long run, Newsom's not going to be president because of that. I mean, he's great at slying his way through things, but he looks slimy doing it.
well, the number of influential people and dollars leaving California right now is I want to say intriguing, but I don't understand how they're going to be able to pull off their budget when they're already negative, and you're
Well,
seeing lots of
They
industry.
can't go to the feds for a bailout because Trump's at that helm.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah, I mean that's not going to happen. There's not going to be any COVID money running in there to help fund them, and that was used heavily too.
Yeah, let's not do that again.
No, it created an opportunity for fraud that we're just looking at right now, and the Somalia pirates over in Minneapolis.
lot of PPP monies. So,
Yes.
Again, you go back to, for me, visually, 21 miles is the Straits of Hormuz.
Yeah.
That's a really small area to shove all these tankers through.
Mm.
That's
Well,
why you've got to be cautious and do it
It's not really. I mean, there's plenty of room for it. It becomes small when you're
being attacked.
being
it's small.
attacked. I mean, it's not like they're going to collide into each other. There's plenty of room for that. But to be able to stop the attack and see it coming, there's just not enough. There's not as much space as
No,
they
we,
want.
we have missiles you can fire from hundreds of miles away
Yeah.
when you're out of harm's way. When you're, let's say you're dead center of the Straits of Hormuz. What's the distance to the shoreline?
10 miles or so.
Okay,
But it's going to cover that so quickly. Is the defense going to be there for you?
That's the thing. Is it's the 10-mile window. That's a very short window when you have something coming at you, basically 500 miles an hour.
The general that gave one of the briefings on it and said that we will get it handled, and he wouldn't give it. He said days, not weeks or whatever. And he said, well, they kept trying to pin him down. Is that 2 days or 3 days? He said, how about a week? He said, be within a week or so. And that was a few days ago. I believe they can. I mean, if they've got the intelligence to know where every launch point is along that and just decimate everything, they possibly have a good chance, I think. But we'll leave it up to the military guys.
Yeah.
And if they say it, I'm going to believe they've got an opportunity to probably make it happen.
Agreed.
But the sooner the better, because the timing is so critical. People are so impatient, and there's so many people pouncing on it that are wringing their hands with this opportunity to make the Trump administration, the United States, look bad.
Isn't that interesting how you said that, though? Is people are impatient. We've gotten to the point that, do you remember
Instant results.
when you wanted to send a letter, when you were young, how long ago was that? When you were young and you wanted to send a letter to your parents or your grandparents.
Sure.
You write the letter, you enjoy writing the letter, you put the stamp on it, and then it goes. And you may not hear back for a month.
Yeah.
It may take you a couple weeks to get the letter there. They're surprised. They write you back, and
Yeah.
then great. Now you want instant gratification. No, I want the gas prices down 10 cents. No, I want to see my stock portfolio go up. No, I want this green light to stay green so I can get through it.
But we feel more engaged with all of it now. In the past, we would, pay whatever's at the pump and not think twice about it in that we don't have a lot of control. We feel like we have more control now. We feel like we have more knowledge about how the system works, and we have more knowledge into why the price is higher. And we got media blasting at us all the time. It's higher because of Trump. It's higher because of this, and so we feel that our pressure, that things we do, things we say, are going to make a difference. And well, if that's the case, then I'm just going to vote him out of office.
Do you believe 30, 60 cents a gallon is going to push a portion of the population to go buy an electric car?
A portion, yeah, but I don't know how big a portion. It's not going to be that big.
So you're not going to go drive one because gas prices
I
went
would
up?
take an electric car tomorrow. I just don't need one.
Okay, you'd take one, but you're not going to invest your hard-earned
It
dollars.
wouldn't make sense for me
Okay.
to do that right now. If I had to buy a new car right now, I'd buy an electric car.
Would you?
Oh yeah, I definitely would.
Okay. Range. How much battery range would you have?
350 is fine. That's kind of a norm.
Okay.
Right now. I'm not the guy that takes a lot of cross country trips. I mean, my pickup truck outside, occasionally I'll drive it to Phoenix or something to pick up parts. That's about it. But if I needed to go cross country, I'd rent one.
Okay. So it's not going to push you to go buy an electric vehicle.
No, financially it does make no sense. I'm not going to spend $50,000-$60,000 on an electric vehicle to save $1,000 of gas in a year. I mean, put a slide rule to that, and what's the payback?
But there are people who have done that.
I know.
And that's that. Hey, I'm, penny wise, pound foolish. It's,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, I have to make this emotional decision. No. Half of what you and I are talking about right now is, yes, there's some people who are going to use that 60-cent gallon increase as a reason to emotionally charge in and fight something.
Right.
And in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, it's probably going back to normal. If you believe what the military is saying about the Straits of Hormuz,
it's got a good chance of it.
and you have the American oil producers spinning up production.
Well, and something about the American oil producers that spinning up production. The oil that we get, from shale and stuff like that in the United States, that oil isn't refined in the United States because our refineries were all built for oil that's coming in. It's a different crude. It's a different viscosity or something. And that gets brought up by people every once in a while. They will say, "Well, Russ, it doesn't really matter." But what happens is we sell our crude and then we buy back theirs, which is not very efficient. But they just broke ground, or will be breaking ground this month, on a new refinery, which is the first new refinery in nearly 50 years. I didn't know that till I read it. It's been that long. I think it was in Texas.
Okay.
It's gonna be offshore. But that specifically will be designed for U.S. Crude, and it'll help that imbalance that we have. But we didn't used to have all that crude. We were importing most of our crude, so the refineries adjusted accordingly, and we haven't built one in that long.
That's amazing. If it's been truly 50 years.
Yeah, that's what I've been reading. I was shocked. But keep in mind, the ones that are already there probably have been rejuvenated. They've been remade. They probably maybe been expanded or something, but they're not new.
But that's that I don't want to say the piece that we're missing is we have the infrastructure, we have the crude, we have the shale, we have the natural gas, we have all of it here in the States.
Yeah.
We've chosen not to do that based on ideology or, somebody says, I don't want that in my backyard.
Correct.
Okay.
The NIMBYs. But it's also been government influence, and the government influence who actually runs the EPA and runs other things can make regulations and make red tape to where it takes 20 years and we still don't have the permits to dig for copper in one of the mines that they've been wanting to open up in Arizona for 20 years because you can't satisfy the EPA. You can't satisfy, the permit cycle. Same thing with these refineries and stuff. Okay, yeah, you can get a permit. You just start filling these out. Call me in a year, and then I'll take a look at it. Yeah. But with Trump, he got that permit done, and we got that done, and not him personally, but through his administration, running the EPA and everything else. They are business friendly and trying to get it done versus how can we block it and get back to green energy?
So is the copper mine open?
No, the copper mine's not.
What's left?
I have no idea. It's been a while since I talked about that one, but it comes up every once in a while. That copper mine, they've been working on that. I think it's up in Yavapai County. They've been trying to get that thing going, and permits and everything have been just stupid
Hmm.
to get those kind of things. Yeah, because look at some of the stuff we've had done here in Yuma County, like the new road that they put in to extension of Araby Road. That took a long time because they had to go out and count the lizards.
Yeah.
And then they had to make some access under the road to where the lizards could cross the road without getting run over by a truck.
You're talking about the area service highway.
Area service highway. And that cost hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars and time. And that road wasn't that evasive. Imagine digging and moving a mountain to get copper out of it. There's going to be studies you've never even heard of.
And probably never will.
Oh, yeah, they're going to wonder about bat migration, and is it going to affect, the owls in the forest and all that? Yeah, it will, because the trees will be gone. The owls will be very unhappy.
They would be.
Yeah.
Now, and again, that's where, yes, we have to do some study. Yes, we have to pay attention to what we're doing in our environment. But you also can't complain when things are so expensive if you're not.
Oh, yes, you can.
No. You're not allowed to complain that
Yes.
things are expensive if you're not willing to do what needs to be done to get the cost down.
You go ahead and tell people I know to not complain.
What does it cost for a penny? Why are we
5
getting
cents.
Okay. So you've got 5 to 6 cents worth of copper in that penny that
Well, it's
we
not even
sell.
copper anymore, really.
Well, but there is copper in it. If you look at why does it cost us 5 to 6 cents for the metal in this and you're selling it for a penny? Because we've regulated things into the point that the copper is so expensive, people are willing to go out and steal copper from job sites.
Yes.
Even when you look at some of these new constructions, why do they not put certain things in until the very last minute? Things get stolen.
I never thought about that, but that would make sense.
It's nonstop. And so again, when you say our copper is so expensive, you just said it. We've regulated it to the point that it's so expensive because we don't have easy access to it. We've made oil and gas more expensive here in the United States because we've not done what we need to do from a pumping, production, refining perspective. And it's you said it. We send oil elsewhere to get refined and buy oil back. How much money do we spend in transportation for that?
Well, the story I read yesterday was like $1.5 trillion of loss. That's what it cost for that whole mess of sending it out, buying it back. Was about a 1.5 trillion, I think, in the article. I don't know how they came up with that. I'm just regurgitating.
Let's use that.
It was on the internet. It's my source.
Let's use that as a figure. If that's true, what would that do per gallon sold in the United States in a year? I don't know, but that would be another good one.
Not going to be significant.
But you have AI on your phone. You could go do that research right now. How many gallons of gas?
AI stopped talking to me.
Whatever. Probably. So what else you got?
I don't know. Let's talk about aging. Since you're working on it.
I am?
Yeah, you're getting older.
I guess we all are.
You're getting older. I saw you limping around. Yeah. Aging.
Go ahead and bring that up.
Well, aging's a big deal. I've been looking at it a lot lately.
That's called a mirror.
To age gracefully, I guess, or to not age, or to reverse aging. And there's a lot of snake oil out there to, and then there's a lot of things that actually do work to make you healthier and to live more gracefully, I guess. I had a manager in Tampa, Florida when I worked there, Bill Scrimshire. And one of the employees, a lady down the hall, she was in charge of HR, was a health nut. And she was always, worried about the consumption of her calories and healthy foods and all that. And that was back in the 80s, so she was ahead of her time. And Scripture used to tell me, she says, she's not going to live a day longer because of all this. She's going to make a good looking corpse. That's all. That's all. But that's okay. Quality of life matters.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. Maybe you don't live longer, but you're still doing downhill skiing until that last day. Instead, whatever. But this article was on multivitamins. Now, I don't really take a multivitamin. I take a lot of nutrition and stuff, and I do take some supplements, but not in the form of multivitamin. I don't know what multivitamin would be the most beneficial. I don't know. I don't really take a multivitamin, but I do take vitamin D's and vitamin B's. I take a assortment of stuff, but it said he said they looked at whether multivitamin every day, somebody taking every day for 2 years, does it help biological aging? And we're not going to stop the calendar, but we can stop the biological, according to this. And it said over 2 years, the people that were taking the multivitamins slowed their biological aging down by about 4 months. Well, that's significant, I guess. I mean, take it over 20 years. That'd be good. And it was studied in Nature Medicine. And I want to know what multivitamin they were using. And findings came after they got a trial of a healthy older adults. They found 1,000 of us that were older. They averaged 70 years of age. And they put them into different groups, into 4 groups. One who took a daily multivitamin, multi-mineral supplement along with cocoa extract. I don't know what that is. Is that a Snickers bar? No, it's just cocoa. One took daily cocoa extract and a placebo. So they got the placebo thing going, the placebo and a multivitamin and all that. And then they analyzed blood samples from the participants at 3 points during the study. And this is Dr. Mike Siegel that's given the report on this. He's at Fox News medical expert guy. He says aging at the cellular level can be marked by DNA methylation. And in some cells, it decreases, and in some cells, it increases. This is also described as epigenetic changes or DNA expression. Those who took multivitamins showed a biological aging slowdown across all biomarkers.
Interesting.
Including the 2 that link to longevity. That is interesting. I looked at that and said, there's hope for us.
There is.
I'm not putting you in the same category of aged as I am, but you're working to get there. I know.
Well, I hope so, because it beats the alternative.
Yeah, this one doesn't surprise us. The biggest benefit was seen in those who already had a biological age that was older than their chronological age. In other words, if you're 70 but your body looks like 80, you had better benefits because you weren't taking care of yourself in the first place.
Well,
I guess, yeah.
You see that every day. You see people that you go, and I do too. You look at people who maybe you went to school with, and some of them look like they're much more youthful, and some of them look like they're much older, right?
Correct.
And so that's what you're describing is sometimes it's life, sometimes it's just how you lived, and sometimes it's taking care of yourself. Now, there's a guy that I've watched online a little bit. Do you know who Brian Johnson is?
No.
Okay. He's a guy who over the last, I don't know how many years, but he's been focused on reducing his biological age as much as possible, whether it's through exercise, eating, nutrition. Look up.
I probably do know him.
You probably do. It's really interesting listening to the things that he does and how he's working on himself. And basically his whole business and from what I can see, his whole push is putting online and how he is doing this himself. And clearly that's how he's making his money now. But he is focused on how to be biologically the youngest ever. And it's interesting watching some of the studies and he publishes his biomarkers. He publishes some of his medical results. And it's super intriguing watching that he has the ability, and you and I have the ability to better take care of our bodies and become biologically younger. Are you looking him up online?
Yeah, I'm getting some singer that's Brian Johnson. I don't know.
No,
whatever.
Come on.
Anyway,
you've got a supercomputer there.
Yeah,
I'll find it.
It's operator error.
You know what we call that? The ID10T error. Do you know how to spell that?
No.
Well, if you write down ID, the number 10 and T, what does it spell?
ID10.
Idiot.
Okay.
The idiot error.
Very good.
Are you spelling it with a Y? I think it's Bryan.
Yeah, Johnson.
I'm just going to search Brian
The
Johnson
one
up.
that
Yep.
creates, watches brain activity? No.
No, it's this guy. He looks like that right there.
Okay.
So if you just search Brian Johnson Health, it comes right up for me. Again, no affiliation, anything, but just brianjohnson.com is with a Y is where I'm finding it. And he's been doing this for quite some time, but it's exactly what you're talking about. You know, and again, I don't know how well it works, how well it doesn't work, but when you read the data set that he's putting out there, looks pretty healthy to me.
Yeah. I've been studying the whole age thing and health thing for quite some time. And of course, then I had the heart problems, right? Even though I've been doing all the stuff. I mean, possibly that I put that off, it would have happened anyway. And of course, it was electrical problems from past damage, probably for blood pressure or something like that. But
So, looking back with what you're studying, do you think you could have influenced your body in a different way? How long ago would you have had to start to influence?
well, you could start at any time. And this study was they started at 70 years old and had great results. So it doesn't matter if you've had problems in the past; you'll be better than you were.
Okay.
Okay, maybe. I went to the dermatologist. What is that? Yesterday, day before? A brand new dermatologist in town. You know, I had a hard time getting dermatologists in the past because there weren't enough of them.
Mhm.
There's a new doc in town, and I called him up. I mean, Helen says, "Russ, I see a mold on your back. I don't like it. You need to go." Oh, okay. And I called the dermatologist. They said, "Well, when do you want to come in?" I said, "Tomorrow." I said, "Okay. How about 10 o'clock tomorrow?" Like, I've called dermatologists in years past, and it's like, which calendar year are you looking at getting in? So there is one out there. I'll have to get the name for you. I'll let you know. But they were very thorough and very good. And something she was looking at, looking real closely at the skin under like a magnifying glass that is looking for some kind of color change or something under a black light or something. But she kept telling me, she says, "Your skin looks really good. Your skin looks really good," and it's subjective. I'm 68.
Well,
It's lucky that I have skin.
you spent years in a dark room
No,
talking
no.
on a radio microphone. So, again, you're not a sun god. You're not
No.
out there,
Well, there's more to do it than that, though. I mean, a lot of it is nutrition and other things like that, which I've been focused on for quite some time. But I told her finally, I said, "Look, I do red light therapy almost every day." She's familiar with it,
Okay.
but didn't understand how much it does. Maybe she's going to go try it now.
So do you have one of those red light caps that
No.
you could cover the dome and
No,
no?
a full body.
Okay.
I mean,
So do you lay on it? Is it on your closet door?
It's over my bed, and I press a button and it lowers.
Okay.
And it's a panel.
So kind of like a turkey baster, you have to
Yes.
rotate
Yeah,
every
yeah.
15 minutes?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but it'll do the entire front, flip over, do the entire back.
And how long do you spend doing that?
I usually I try to go 20 minutes a session while I'm listening to other things or doing other work. I mean, with the red light on, it's hard to read. But that's the time I might catch up on some news on some YouTube or something like that.
Is that those old glasses we had as kids? One
I
was
don't-
red, one was blue, so you could read the funky print.
I don't wear the glasses. It doesn't. It's good for the eyes also.
So what is that doing for you? Because I've not actually done a lot of research on red light therapy, although I've heard a lot about it.
Well, I started reading about it a long time ago on the benefits and all that it's at the mitochondrial level, and it helps grow the mitochondria, strengthen the mitochondria. Which, well, okay, what does that do for me? Well, I bought one when I was watching a show on a guy that does all the research, and he does all the comparisons. Like, this red light claims this, but they don't really put out that, and he does all that comparisons to look at the models. And it got into like plastic surgeons, and he said a few years ago I found out that a plastic surgeon was using them, and I called him back to find out if how's it working for him and all that. And then I called other plastic surgeons to see if what I found is I was trying to find a plastic surgeon that didn't have it. And all of a sudden they're all doing it. And what they're telling me is that when they do plastic surgery, they'll say, look, don't expose yourself to sun for 2 weeks or 3 weeks or 4 weeks or whatever. They cut all of those in half.
Really?
Yeah, like you're healing faster, so there's less chance of infection,
Hmm.
and it's clearing up. A lot of the red light that you see out there are bought by women that just cover the face. They just put it on their face. They don't care what the rest of the body looks on. They're not going to wear clothes, so they just cover up the face. And they say, and that seems to be one of the more popular things is those facials. You know, they just put them on, walk around the house looking like a robot, doing the red light.
All of a sudden, everybody who's listening to this has this visual of Russ doing a full body scan that is
Yeah,
just.
yeah,
I think I need another cup of coffee.
yeah. Well, and it's
But you see benefits.
oh gosh, yes. I have a doc out in the foothills that gave me some pellets in my hip for hormone replacement for testosterone because I was low on testosterone. And she put them in my hip, and then they're good for 6 months. And in 6 months, you go back. So I went out there, and she was looking at my hip, and then she looked at the other side. She looked at the other side. She says, "What side did we put that on?" And I said, "This side." She says, "I don't see the scars." I said, "Well, I use red light." She says, "Well, what difference does that make?" I said, "Well, dermatologists and I mean, some dermatologists and plastic surgeons use it to get rid of scar tissue and to heal the skin and all."
Hmm.
She said, "I've never seen anybody be able to lose their scar." You know, she can always look
Interesting. Yeah.
after 6 months and see that, well, you know, I could see I put it on this side last time because it's still visible where I cut you.
I'm gonna have to do a little more research on that. That's now. I'm assuming you have a choice. There's probably a cheap version, an expensive
Correct.
version,
Correct.
and I'm sure you did all the research. So,
Correct.
what did you buy, and why did you buy that?
I bought one that has 5 different frequencies, and when they study red light, they don't study the whole spectrum. They study different frequencies. I don't remember, like 640, 810, 840, and what the effects are. And all of them have some slight variations and difference of red light and ultra red light, or you know, some of it's invisible, some of it's not. And then they look at how much wattage you're putting out. Mine is at 5 watts per bulb, and a lot of them claim that much, but they don't really put out that much. And I watched a lot of those reviews that these are doing what they said they're going to do. And mine's made by Blue Block,
Hmm.
and they make Blue Blocker
Sunglasses?
sunglasses also, but they make the red light. They call it Blue Block, and a lot of times, you know, a lot of his research has over the years has changed to where most of the red lights are really good. It's the features, like what kind of, like, does it have a remote control? Does it allow you to increase one setting versus the other setting? Is it easy to use and all that kind of stuff, as well as the red light? But I wanted to get one mine came with a 5-year warranty, which was good.
Now, I'm envisioning this is something strung up on 4 ropes, and
No,
you said you're lowering
no.
it over your bed.
The panel is 80 pounds.
Well, don't let that drop on your head.
No. And so I bought and you could put it up vertically on the wall and stand in front of it. I didn't really want to stand.
I wonder why.
So I said, "No, I'm gonna lay down, you know, on that thing." So I bought a machine that holds it up, flat, and it's got a push button to where it goes up and down like an elevator. It'll go all the way up and all the way down.
So I'm envisioning you had a bunch of people that used to buy the self-tanning booths.
Yeah.
Is there a self red light table that you buy the same type of thing if you
Sure.
don't want that up over your bed?
Yeah, you could buy like a clamshell where
Uh-huh.
you just set it in and it's a red light under you and over you, and they're right around $100,000.
Oh, 100,000.
Yeah.
Well, that's a problem.
So, yeah, it was a problem. I looked at those, and those are really high tech. They look like sports cars. I mean,
Can you do a
they're
tan at the same
beautiful.
time?
No, they're
No.
not tan. A tan is bad for the skin.
Okay.
This is the opposite. It does the red light mimics the morning sun, and what morning sun does apparently is prepare us for the ultraviolet rays that are coming, and your skin becomes becomes, I guess, defensive against it somehow. Uh, what I've noticed since I've been doing the red light, and I'm albino pale. skin. And what I've noticed is since I've been using the red light, I don't sunburn anymore
Do you get out in the sun?
every day.
You weren't at midnight at the Oasis.
No, but I really have been. I haven't really sunburned anymore. And I just went to the dermatologist. Says your skin looks good and all that. So it's not. I don't spend a lot of time. I mean, I'm not out farming or something. I'm not out. I'm not out doing that. But I get out in the sun every day, and I don't use sunscreen. And I got lectured on that
By your
by
dermatologist.
the dermatologist. Yeah, they gave me free samples.
So you're at your age now, you're looking at biomarkers, biological age, red light therapy.
Yeah.
We have the ability to do these things now. Go back to way in the beginning where you started. It's not if it's going to happen, it's when. So you have the ability to benefit yourself.
Correct.
And you have the ability to research this and try products that are already out there.
Mhm.
How fast are these things changing?
You
I'd
don't
never
know-
heard
you-
of red light therapy 2
Okay.
years ago.
You don't notice it overnight, but you're going to notice it in a month or two. And something else, I've been doing red light. My first panel was a 3-foot panel, so I'd have to do half my upper body, half my lower body, then half my upper body on the back, and the other half on the bottom, the back, whatever. And I was doing it standing because I didn't have a suspension thing. So, but I did that just to see how much I would like and do it, and I noticed changes. And one of the changes I noticed, I had I started going to the gym because I wasn't taking care of myself. I wasn't eating. I was overweight. I'm 195 now. I was up to 260. And
Is that where I'm supposed to go? Dang.
yeah, you don't have to. You don't have to. When I got married, what 19 months ago. I was 230, 235 at that time, and I told Helen, I mean, she deserves much better than me, so I'll lose a little weight, try to improve. But I was going to the gym after a health scare I got about 2.5 years ago. I was going to the gym to get myself. I said, man, I need to get physically better, and of course, my gym instructor, his charge in life was to hurt me. Lift weights until you can't lift them anymore. To failure, and build muscle and all that. And I was going 4 days a week, 5 days a week, sometimes 4 days a week. And I'd go in the next morning. He says, "How you feel?" I said, "I feel great. No muscle soreness." And that went on for like a year. And he kept asking me. He says, and I'm growing really fast. I mean, muscles are growing. I'm adjusting. I'm doing all that. Hold on, Ted. And I'm doing all that. And I finally told him. I said, I use red light therapy. And in red light therapy, and I'd read on that, the muscle builders, the bodybuilders that do it, they recover 50% faster.
See, now you're talking data points that I would like to research.
You could research that. They're 50% faster. So I said, look, I do. And he says, how's that help? So I showed him some videos. I sent him some videos on all that. And he started using it at that point for weightlifting and muscle rebuilding. Let's take a phone call. Ted, you're on the air.
Good morning, Russ. How you doing?
I'm doing really well, buddy. How are you?
Recovering from that noise from the air show beginning.
That's not an air show, is it? Is that an air show? Is an air show coming?
The reason I'm letting you know this is here's what you have to do to get into it.
What?
You either have to show ID. You ain't voting. You're just getting into an air show.
Right.
All foreign nationals must present a valid passport or visa.
Wow.
Just to see the air show.
Foreign nationals can vote in California without it. Nice. Well, that's not surprising, but it is shocking to keep hearing that our whole country is a passport except ID, because it's racist if you ask for it. Yeah. Well, I'm going to go call the people. I'm going to call the people at the air show racist, or that you think pregnant women are stupid.
Well, they are to let men inseminate them when they have
stop it.
Artificial.
Stop it. Yeah.
Who needs men?
Yeah.
They've already proved that the geneticists have proved that the male genome is going away.
What do you mean?
So they just say we're
being obsoleted,
overtaken. But yeah. They've already found that through the genetics genome that they're running through.
Well, child support's going to go way down. Okay.
You never know. You can't get your liquor no more off those food stamps and all.
Yeah.
Now, I just want to let everybody know they got to have their IDs, man, if you want to get into the air show.
Makes sense, though, buddy. It does. I appreciate the call, Ted. Thanks.
But not to vote. Don't
right.
worry, not to vote.
All right, buddy. Bye-bye. Yeah, that SAVE Act, we'll see if that thing passes.
What's your gut?
I think it's got a better chance of not passing. And it doesn't make any sense, Derek. It doesn't make any sense at all. But watching these senators and Thune, that's now he's trying to give it lip service right now because Trump has threatened him.
I don't understand why Thune isn't pushing that hard through. I can't figure out why the stall. And clearly when you see Chuck Schumer saying online that, well, if we pass this, 20 million people aren't going to be able to vote. Why wouldn't they? Those are the people who shouldn't be voting in the first place.
It's just, yeah, probably. But it's just rhetoric to scare people. You're going to have to show your passport to vote. You don't have to show your passport to vote. You have to prove citizenship to register. Yeah. After that, it's just an ID.
And do you have a voter ID?
Yeah.
Cool.
But but you need ID beyond that. Picture ID.
But
any government picture ID.
That's what I'm saying is right now, I don't understand why Thune and some of the others in Congress are not pushing like
Why do
crazy.
You think?
There's something going on the backside that I can't figure out why.
75% of every demographic plus
supports it.
And if you start looking at the totals, it's like 84% of total support it.
Mm-hmm.
And yet you got 100% of the Democrats, except for Fetterman. No, it's racist or women that have children or get married. Women that get married can't get an ID.
The Democrat side, I understand. They're fighting against Trump, whatever he wants to do. But
this is ridiculous because they're fighting against their own constituents.
Right.
I mean, their own constituents are saying, yeah, it makes sense. Then we're not going to do it.
That's what I can't figure out. What is the game that's being played in Washington? Why would you?
And I don't know. And Cornyn was, he's the Texas senator that was against it. And Trump threatened him. And he says, okay, I'm for it now. And the threat is he's up for re-election and he's behind in the primary. And it is so rare. Sitting senators don't get primaried. But right now he's behind. Yeah. Paxton is ahead of him in the primary. And he is asking for Trump's endorsement. He said, Trump, I think, has given him the ultimatum. If it passes, I'll do it. I'll look at it. If you pass it. Well, and Thune's his best friend, Thune and Cornyn. So both of them are giving it lip service right now. And it shows there's video of them in the hallways of Congress there. And reporters ask them a question, and they are snippy, angry, just pissed off guys. They don't want to answer questions. And they're just rude. And Thune goes into the Senate and reads a statement. He has to read it because it's not coming from passion, not coming from his heart. He has to read it that he's behind it now and we're going to have a vote on it and we'll see what happens, which is just procedural crap. He's not engaged.
Right.
But he's made a commitment to bring it up and have a vote. I don't trust Thune and who knows the reason. I don't know. He doesn't really explain it other than I just don't have the votes. I don't have the votes. Okay, and there's
but it's his job to go get the votes.
There's lots of yes, that is his job. I don't have him, and of course the filibuster is available to him. Not the zombie filibuster, the one where you have to stand and read filibuster, which hasn't been used in a long time. Still on the book, still there. It's not a change. It's all there. They won't even consider it. Well, we got too much other important legislation needs to get through, so we can't spend all that time on that. There's nothing more important than that. The president says so, and there may not be a reason to pass all this other legislation if we don't have it because we're not going to be here to implement it. There may be another change. I got some hope though in that Trump is becoming so adamant. In fact, there's even the House and Johnson has talked about not passing anything until the Senate does their job.
Mm-hmm. And Trump came out and said he's not signing another bill until this is on his desk.
I know he suggested it. I don't know if he made it a commitment yet, but I know he has suggested that, not signing another bill. But he may not have to. Johnson says he's looking at not passing anything. We're just not going to do anything until they get that done. And I hope they all have the guts to do that.
I hope so.
It-
And again, you say, I don't know why they're not pushing it. I can't fathom why anybody would say, you know what, we really don't want to make sure that you are a citizen to vote in our elections.
Yeah.
That there's no reason not to say, well, yeah, that makes common sense. I don't get to go vote for any other country's election. I would have to be a citizen of that country
Well,
to
no,
vote.
no other country would do what we do and say you don't have to show an ID.
Right.
There isn't a country out there that does that.
And you look at some of the countries, and I want to be America. I love what we have here.
Yeah.
You look at some of these other countries, and they literally have instant results, and they have the IDs, and you have, by the end of the day, you have the election results complete nationwide. Why did it take us weeks to certify states? And now you're going back and relooking at some of the results.
All great questions. And I mean, a lot of the answers I think is incompetence. Some of the answers is theft. Some of the answers is who knows. But none of it's acceptable, and it didn't used to be like this. I mean, we purposely have caused in some places chaos for some reason. And
It's interesting. And when you say elections are political, but we're politicizing the process, not who you want to vote for. But now you're saying we don't even want to admit that you have to be a citizen to vote within the United States.
Yeah. In fact, we're changing that. Let's take a phone call real quick. Jonathan, you're on the air, buddy.
Well, good morning, Russ. How you doing?
We're doing well, sir. What are you up to? Are you in Arizona? Are you roaming around somewhere? What do you got going on?
Yeah, well, I actually just got back home from the border.
Okay.
So you get a chance later today, Russ. Your numbers are shooting through the roof on Q broadcast, channel 24.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yes, they are.
I was curious
that's
how that
why
was going. Yeah.
Over 100,000 views. So in just a matter of a couple of days. So that's pretty good.
All right. Well,
So,
then it's good you've turned me on to that, and that's I haven't talked a lot about it. I've mentioned it, but not a lot yet. But we obviously will more as time goes on. We're starting to get our sea legs here in the studio and figuring out where everything is. You know.
So what I'd like to do, Russ, I'd like to keep you permanently on Q broadcast with us as well. And so when you get a chance, let's sit down and talk about it. And
Okay.
because evidently you're building quite the audience.
All right. Well, I will be giving you a call today, buddy.
So Senator Hart is going to be back down here in about 3 weeks.
Okay.
And he said, sorry, we missed you on the border.
Right.
But we met with a lot of military personnel down there, Russ.
And I'm ready to go. I'm sorry. Yeah, he got delayed on plane, and with TSA like it is, there's maybe more problems in the future. I don't know. I hope we get that cleared up shortly.
Yep. But what's your thoughts of all the military on the border right now?
Yeah, and I haven't been out to see it, but I'm surprised.
Well, for the first time ever in the history, we have never had active military right here on the border. We've had National Guard,
Yeah.
just to help with border patrol. But they've actually called in active units out of Georgia, North Carolina. I mean, these are actual Army troops that's here. From the Tucson sector, clean to Yuma.
Well, next time you're in town, please take me out there, and I'd like to go out there and see that with you.
Yeah, because we met with a lot of the commanders down there.
Okay.
Yeah, me and Senator Phil Hart did. So, well, anyways, I just got in. You get a chance, call me later today.
I will.
Because it's pretty important that we talk. Because I've got some other ideas for what we can be doing on Q broadcasts as well.
You got it, man. I'll give you a call. Thank you, buddy.
All right. Good having you on. All right. Bye-bye.
That's Jonathan, and he's got a TV network that I am broadcasting on.
I've met him.
Okay.
In the studio, and he was very appreciative and very enthused getting you on the air. And what did he say your viewership is?
100,000. More than no. It's not. And I never know exactly how much it all is on social media. George had tracked it before, and I've had shows that have gone, a couple 100,000, depending on who the guest is. Sometimes these guests, when they're on, will get on their own networks, their own social media, and say, tune in
push
on
it.
this date, and I'll be there, and I'll get this huge spikes and stuff. But when you have like a Rudy Giuliani or a Laura Trump and stuff like that, I mean, they just pull audience.
So you're saying the viewership with me in here is not
No, I get an extra dozen or so.
One or two.
I get.
Just burst my bubble there,
I
Russ.
get a few.
Gosh, dang it.
Let me see. Edward is sending me countries with voter ID laws and results within 24 hours of election: Brazil, Mexico, India, Argentina, Chile, Uruguay. Oh, and he's just getting started. I get, he's got.
And India is not a small population for a country.
Within 24 hours. Guyana uses biometric voter ID system to verify voters. They get it within 24 hours. Uruguay, citizens use using a voter credential, resulting in typical clear same night. They get everything same night. Chile, vote requires national ID card, and they get everything within 24 hours. We wait weeks. It's just ridiculous. I mean, what we're doing is ridiculous. We need to make it, we need to get it done. And so get that thing done. Everybody call John Thune today.
So, and go back to, that's the one that I always kind of lean towards. You said India.
Yeah.
Does India have a population larger than the United States?
Oh my God, it's close to China, and it's like a billion people.
So I know I hear people say, "Oh, well, those small countries, they can't really do it." Pretty sure the population of India is at least 3 times that, if not more, of the United States.
Yeah, it is.
Of physical human beings.
1.45 billion.
Okay. Now, how many of those are voting age? Same thing, how many U.S. citizens are of voting age? But if you say, okay, their population is 5 times that of the United States, 4 times.
And still can get it.
And they can get it done in 24 hours with an ID. I'm sick and tired of hearing anybody say, it's going to slow the process
down. We need to take some of our intelligence out of the military and put it into the voting for a little while and get it straightened out, because they seem to know what they're doing in the military.
Great.
Let's take a phone call. You're on the air.
Hey, good morning, Russ. How we doing?
We're doing well, Carl. Good morning.
You're doing a good job today, gentlemen, and appreciate it.
Even with Derek, that's awesome. Great.
No, Derek's doing an awesome job too.
All right.
Yeah, he's one of them gentlemen that sees a problem, he steps up, so doesn't run from it. So
no, he does.
We got it done. You got it. Okay.
Hey, now have you signed his petition yet? Before you say anything, have you signed his petition?
I believe I did. If he was downtown on
no. I want you to get online, double check if you could, man. I don't know.
Okay, we'll do. Hey,
right,
not a problem.
Go ahead.
Okay, now my 2 cents for today is we, the people in Yuma, Arizona, took the time to put David Laura in charge of the county recorder's office. Oh. And immediately after that, if not before, the county board of supervisors took that part away from him. So.
Well, the voting party still does all the recording and all the registration. Yeah, it's all his.
Yeah, but the most important part, we wanted to be able to watch the election, and the county board of supervisors took that part away from
We still have him. You're right, and you're absolutely right. But we still have that man in there to watch it. He can still watch, and he's still doing that.
Yeah.
I think he's doing a great job. And the board of supervisors, and I've talked to Jonathan Lyons about it. And that thing was set up with an end date when they shifted it to the recorder. It was set up with an end date, and they went ahead and let it end. It had a sunset.
Yeah.
So it sunsetted and it went back to supervisors.
Yeah, but they did such a crappy job the first time. Now they're going to do it again.
Well, yeah. I hope not.
Yeah.
Well,
that's the problem. We put someone in there that to make sure it didn't happen, or really work hard to make sure, and they took it away from him. And they said, "Well, we'll screw it up again for you."
You and I need to go to a supervisors meeting and go to the call to the public and say, "Now, are you sure you're not going to screw up the voting this year? You're in charge of it, right? Everything's going to be good. We're going to get this thing done in one day."
Yeah.
Maybe we should go ask those questions, see how they answer it.
Oh, I'll be glad to do that. I thought they should come on the radio and answer it too.
Oh, we could do that. They really can't answer it at a call to public. They just have to be able to endure it.
Yeah.
So, but we can put it on record that we're making the comments like, "I don't trust you." Okay.
Yes. Now, have you ever been to one of those meetings where the redistricting committees, where the panel comes down from Phoenix, etc., and listens to us?
Yeah.
Did it do any good?
Yeah.
No.
I like listening.
Well,
Yeah.
well, yeah,
No,
that's about what we got out of it.
does it automatically change anything? No. No, it doesn't.
No.
It does record some comments and record some stuff, but sometimes they have their mind made up first. But you got to get out. And I know you're someone that does. You do get engaged.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Okay. Now here's the last question I have for today. Back in the '60s, I could go into a gas station and my gasoline would be anywhere from 21 to 25 cents a gallon.
oh yeah.
And I could walk in the station and drop a quarter in the cigarette machine and pull out a Camel, Pall Mall, whatever I wanted for a quarter.
Yeah.
And now that gasoline is between $3 and $3.50 right now, and a pack of cigarettes is anywhere between 8 and 12. So
Right.
is the rest of that money, because it doesn't cost any more to make gasoline than it does a cigarette.
1960, the minimum wage was $1 per hour.
That's right. and that Snicker candy bar I used to buy for a quarter now is $2.50.
Isn't that something? I know. I see that, and I'm like, all of a sudden, I don't like Snickers. I'm not buying that.
Yeah, well, no, I can't. I don't. I still like them. I can't afford them.
Yeah. All right,
Hey,
buddy.
there's another one. Another one. A drumstick ice cream used to be a quarter. Now they're $2 and $3. So anyway,
At McDonald's, you can get it for $1, buddy. That's where I take the grandkids.
there you go.
They're tight wad that I am, you know.
Yeah. Well, it's Friday, so have a good weekend, my friend.
You too, Carl. Bye-bye. Mr. Carl. So you got to take off. You got to go to work.
In just a little bit. Yeah.
Okay. I want to mention though that you are running for city council.
Yes.
I want you to get on the ballot.
Still
You
need
s-
some signatures.
And I need everyone to, and where do they go to sign? And you can do it from your computer, your cell phone, or whatever. Where do they go to do that?
So we've been blasting that all over social media. So you can, if you just search me on any platform you're on, you can also go into the petition signing that Yuma County has out there.
It's Yuma County
And
website.
you can see that all the way through. Anybody that you're able to sign for. So again, there's 3 city council seats open, which means you can sign up to 3 petitions if you choose.
And that's not a vote for Derek. It's a signature to get him on the ballot.
Yeah.
So everybody do that today. Just sign, get on the Yuma County website, and there'll be a icon button on the front page, I'm sure. Or you can search for signing petitions, and it'll come right up. And then look for Yuma City Council, and Derek will be on there.
Yep.
Go ahead and check him off.
Go on, if you went on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, search my name. Right on my profile, you'll see that link there. Very easy to find.
All right.
So, but Russ, have a good morning. I've got to go work and get after
I'm
it.
going to
So
I'm going to keep chatting.
You need to chat, but you probably need a coffee break.
I'm going to probably take a coffee break.
Get some fluids, lose some fluids.
I need more fluids. I'll be right back. It's not AM 560.
No, you can't.
I still do that. It's an automatic. It's Mortgage One Studios, Russ Clark Show. We'll be back. Mortgage One Studios, Russ Clark Show, right back with you. Yeah, I needed to get more coffee. I'm actually drinking decaf now. It was a suggestion from my wife. I had that heart thing where they did the ablation, and I've been having at times a little bit of a flutter or something, which is normal. Afterwards, for 90 days, they said that can happen, but I figured I'd do myself a favor and get rid of the caffeine for a little while. The phone line's open, 928-941-0304. That is my cell phone, so it goes right. I can put that right into the board. And let me check a message. Mexican voter ID enacted after massive election fraud in 1980s or 1990s, and that was just a comment from one of the listeners. And yeah, Edward, I think, put that on there that they actually have a good system with voter ID. Somebody wants the name and phone number of the new dermatologist, a wonderful dermatologist, and you can get in right away. Oh, wait a minute, I've got it on my calendar. I'm trying to think. I couldn't think of the name. That's why I wasn't saying it. Gemini. All right. Let me. I'm trying to find the web page. Gemini dermatology. There we go. It's Gemini, Gemini, Gemini Dermatology. I think they just opened recently, and I was really impressed. Very thorough, very good job. They're on 24th Street. It's 2140 West 24th Street. It's right by the Sleep Center in that little area before you. It's between Avenue A and B, 2140. Phone number 928-408-7400. Really spent the time and really did was very thorough. I really liked going there. And I've had a hard time with dermatologists in Yuma. Just getting an appointment was a when Dr. Ertl quit being a dermatologist. I mean, he retired. So we've really needed one. I was right, but don't go there because wait a minute. I was able to get an appointment. I called like 2 days ago, and they said, "How about tomorrow?" I'm like, "Wow." But see, if I tell everybody, and I'm just thinking about that, if I tell everybody, then next time I call, they say, "Well, you have to wait a few weeks." That's okay. All right, go ahead and call them. I mean, it's very important. We live in Yuma. There's a lot of sun out here. Dermatologists, it's great to do those checkups. It doesn't take long. It's a quick checkup. They look you over real quick. You feel good coming out. And they did use a little bit of what that nitrogen and liquid nitrogen or something real cold that actually kills the cells or something. I had a few little spots that were possibles, but then they took a biopsy on a couple little places. No big deal. I was in good shape. See, Tony just texted me and said there's a tractor accident at Fortuna. Take frontage. That's out in the foothills. Oh no, a tractor. I'm assuming farm tractor, but who knows? It could be a tractor trailer. It could be. So be careful out there. It's morning. What is it? Oh, it's 7:30. So yeah, be careful. We got traffic. Yeah, go around that. Don't take frontage this morning. Yeah, don't take Fortuna. Say we covered the vitamins, and I didn't quite cover it completely. Mark Siegel, they did that study, and they found out that older adults that take vitamins. In fact, go see Tony Holland. Tony Holland has a shop out in the in the foothills, and she's one of the most thorough and understanding of nutrients. I mean, nutrients and supplements and all that. I think it's H2O, isn't it? I'm trying to think of. Canyon water, H2O. Oh, man. I'll figure it out. Well, let me see. I've got her in my calendar. I mean, on my contacts. H2O herbs to oils. H2O herbs to oils. She's out there on Fortuna Road. Really knowledgeable. I really enjoy talking to her. She's been doing this herbs and supplements and oils for so long. I mean, she's got a ton of knowledge. If you have any questions about that, give Tony a call out there at H2O herbs to oils. It's just if you get off the highway, it's just past the Fry's. Yeah, if you're going south, it's just past Fry's. Take a left on after that, past Fry's. There's a shopping center past that gas station, right in that area. You can find her. Let me see. The only thing that Mark Siegel said that about him personally, he was not involved in the study. He thought it was scientific significant and wanted to talk about it. He said there's a lot of interest today in identifying ways to not just live longer, but to live better. And that's the important thing, live better. There are so many possibilities from biotin to calcium to zinc to vitamin B, C, or D to niacin, and to metals like magnesium and copper. I am personally a believer in riboflavin, thiamine, and vitamin D. And let me tell you, if you start getting, and I do a lot of this research, I do a lot of it, I look at it, a lot of supplements I take. I don't really take a multivitamin, but I do take a lot of supplements. There's a lot of research out there, but man, there's so much. I mean, if you took everything that you saw out there, you couldn't afford it for one. But that's why a good multivitamin. I used to take a multivitamin that I got from Tony, which was not like it wasn't like a one pill. It was like 6 pills or something, multivitamin. So it had a lot more in it. And since then, I've gotten away from that because I want to take some specific ones in greater volume or whatever. So I got away from the multivitamins. But if you're into multivitamins, I would talk to Tony about that. I think she would be the best research on that, where to go. Also in oils and stuff like that. 4 U.S. service members were just killed in a refueling aircraft crash. Just tragic. And it just reminds you that what these guys are doing within the military, within the DOD and all of that, that's dangerous stuff. They're working on dangerous equipment, and there's a chance that somebody's going to get hurt. There always is, unfortunately. It is. And this refueling aircraft crashed in western Iraq on Thursday afternoon. It was not shut down. It was not hostile fire. It was not friendly fire. They don't really know. They're doing an investigation right now. There were 6 people on board, and 4 of the 6 crew members on board the aircraft have been confirmed died there, dead during when they did the rescue efforts. It's a KC-135 aircraft. I don't know what makes an aircraft like that go down. And if an airplane loses power, it still flies, by the way. And that could have been it. Maybe it flew, but there was nothing level to land on, and it ends up in rough terrain. A big airplane like that is going to break apart and have problems. But they don't know. We'll get more notification on that unfortunate accident that happened. Something on the thing in Iraq, and I guess I need to talk to somebody in DOD about this, but you hear quotes all the time on what it's costing us to put these assets over there, and it's astronomical numbers. I mean, it's numbers that I don't think fit on my calculator sometimes, because we're talking about 3 aircraft carrier groups plus all the Air Force stuff over there. But I don't know how they calculate that number, because even if they're not there, if the aircraft carrier is not, it's going to be somewhere, and it's costing us money every day setting still. I'd be interested if they really take that into account. Do they really talk about the the total cost of running that on a day, which we pay for anyway, or the extra expense for actually doing the war effort? I'd be curious. Something tells me, though, when we hear the total cost, it's the total cost of that aircraft carrier, to man it, to all of that. But it's manned all the time anyway. Well, with some exceptions in dry dock and all. But it's always manned. And if they're not there, they're out doing preparations to go places. They're out doing war games. They're out doing practices. So I'd be curious to get a more fair assessment as to what it really costs. I don't know if I'll ever get that. I don't know if they break it down that way. I'd be curious how they do break it down. I don't know. There was an attack on a synagogue just the other day. That was in Michigan, a Jewish synagogue in Michigan. A 41-year-old Lebanese-born American citizen, was American citizen, Ahmed Mohammed Ghazala or Ghazali. He targeted the synagogue. He drove into it. He drove right through the front doors into the hallway and all that, and then took out a rifle. And there were some incendiary device or a bomb or something. I don't think they've been real clear what it is was in the vehicle, and because there was a fire, there was smoke, and all that kind of stuff. He ended up losing his life. This 41-year-old Lebanese-born American citizen, Aman. He lost his life. He attacked this temple 12:30 p.m. local time. Got out of the vehicle with a rifle, exchanged gunfire with armed security. And that's important. Armed security. Absolutely thankful. I don't know why they don't do that everywhere. Most of your churches anymore have something like that. You don't know it. You don't see it. It's going to be parishioners. It's going to be people you don't notice that are in the crowds or at the doors or outside or whatever. But there are security programs at most of these churches anymore, and it's usually by volunteers that have some experience, background, or understanding of the security detail, which is just a wonderful thing. Apparently, synagogues have something similar, or this would have ended up much worse than it was. They exchanged gunfire with an armed security who shot and killed him. Now, there was a security man that was injured. He was hit by the car, I think. But this kind of hate goes on. Now, this Aman Muhammad, he apparently has relatives that died recently overseas. Yeah, in Lebanon. Apparently died in a exchange of fire with Israel. Israel recently. I mean, they've been having Hezbollah and they've been having other things fire rockets, and they've been responding. And I don't know if that's what it is or not. I don't know. I'm guessing at this point. But the article that I'm reading does say that he had some problems overseas with some relatives that did die. And I guess they mentioned that as like as a probable cause. I don't know if they've received any information beyond that. They they had that information was shared. Now he applied for naturalization October 20th of 2015. He came into the country, I think, in 2009 because he married somebody. He married a U.S. citizen and came into the country legally. Came into the country legally. He was approved in 2010 to come in. He applied in 2009. So he was here legally, but apparently had a problem with the Jewish population, which is so ridiculous. Right now, Iran has been the bully of that part of the world for 47 years to their neighbors, to us, to Israel, to everybody. Killed a lot of American citizens and all that. We do not want violence in this country because Iran is doing something. I mean, we're not going to go out and start, killing people, hurting people that are of Iranian descent. It's kind of ridiculous. But this 41-year-old decided that was the way to behave. Israel, exchanged with my family, and I lost members, so I am going to kill a random person at a Jewish synagogue who may not even like Israel. You don't know. They may share the same faith, but not the same politics. I don't know. It's just ridiculous. It is hate and it's terribleness. I mean, it's part of life forever, but I just think it's gotten worse in recent years, particularly as it's been exposed in our country. I mean, that's because we've overdone it with the immigration. Maybe we have overdone it with the immigration, and we've got too much that are not integrated into the community and causing problems. Hopefully that helps under Donald Trump to where we have a better. Well, we know it already is. We're cutting off the illegal immigration right away. That's been a fact. I mean, that's the net immigration on the border has been zero many months in a row now. The net. I mean, that doesn't mean people haven't come over. They have. They get picked up and sent right back. So it's been netting zero, which the Democrats and Joe Biden said was impossible. Impossible. We need to have comprehensive, reforms, which is ridiculous. That was just a way to justify. In fact, the reforms that they were talking about would have made it legal for like the first 5,000 a day or something. You don't do anything or something. It was something silly. It was something silly in there, and it was just ridiculous. I'm glad we're where we are, and I pray and I hope and I'm begging all of you, stay engaged, stay involved to make sure we continue doing these reforms. And these reforms are only going to happen if Donald Trump stays in office and has a House and a Senate that he can work with in some way. It's not perfect as it is, but if we lost the House, he's going to be impeached every day. And everything comes to a standstill. Government stops. And that's unfortunate. And that's not what we need. Governor Tim Walz is in the news. Tampon Tim up there, Minnesota. He had a signature legislation. I don't know how bad this guy is. He was up to be one heartbeat away from the president. That's what he was on the ballot to become. He was on the ballot to be vice president with Kamala Harris, to where not only would we have Kamala Harris, we'd have Tim Walz as a backup. And that's before we knew all about the fraud and the silliness and his lack of debate skills or his ridiculous behavior. All of that. We didn't know about it all the time. And we're so thankful that Minnesota still has him. I don't know how thankful they are, but we are. He has some signature legislation that he signed just recently. It took effect on January 1st of this year. It allows Minnesota workers up to 12 weeks a year off with partial pay to care for a newborn or a sick family member, and up to 12 weeks to recover from their own serious illness. The benefits are capped at 20 weeks a year. Now, when I first read this, I misunderstood it a little bit. I thought it was for government employees. No, it's for every employee. So it becomes law. It becomes law that if you have an employee in Minnesota, you have to offer them paid sick leave, paid for a newborn, 12 weeks, paid for a family member, 12 weeks. Now it's partial pay. I don't know how much partial. 12 weeks to recover from serious illness. Capped at 20 weeks. Now they're already having problems. Now it's been in effect since January 1. They're having problems right now. The Chamber of Commerce, Lauren Skolhorst from the Minnesota Chamber of Commerce is quoted saying, beyond just anti-fraud sentiments, employers are reporting a few concerning trends. Providers are being pressured by patients for the full 12 weeks of leave. Do you hear that? Yeah. So when you say, okay, you get 12 weeks of pay, partial or whatever, if somebody's sick or whatever, if you're sick, then these patients are going to their doctors and saying, the doctor says, I don't need you to go to work for a week. They'll say, can you make it 12, doc? Can you make it 12? Well, that's already gotten back to Chamber of Commerce and everything. The businesses are complaining. Because it says they're asking for it, even if their condition does not require it. A number of respondents have shared that their employees are making more on paid leave than the wage replacement thresholds in law. employees, I'm sorry, are going on vacation or to music festivals while supposedly on leave. So they're claiming leave for family members, babies, sickness, whatever, and going to the Bahamas or to the concerts. Well, it, these anecdotes don't necessarily reveal fraud or lack of oversight by the department. She puts that in there. They highlight concerns with the broad eligibility, limited employer resources, elements of the law to employers. Overuse is abuse. A couple of Republican lawmakers are agreeing with the Chamber of Commerce. They're saying, look, Chamber's right. That's according to Senator Michael Holstrom. Minnesota is not a business-friendly state, and I think that's exactly right. It's not a business-friendly state, and our legislation needs to think about that. I don't know how Minnesota got tricked into this thing of making it unhealthy for employers. Look, employers offer great benefits. They get more employees by themselves. I mean, you don't force it on employees or employers. It's going to get abused like this. So employers are already offering this benefit, and then the state got in between them, the employers and the employees. So the employers that were already offering benefits, the state now supersedes that. I mean, gets in front of that, and the employers don't have control of it anymore. Holstrom, this is the senator that says a major employer in his district, and I'm sure he's gotten a call already. They've already said a 700% increase in paid leave. 700%. Minnesota is awesome at taking advantage, I think, of opportunities, whether legal or not. I don't know. And that's since the law took effect, and that's only been January 1st. The company's unable to backfill these positions with skilled workers to compensate. So they're just giving less services, which is not good. Senator Mark Korn from the state senator agreed with the chamber and said fraud concerns are valid. There's no real enforcement because the state removed the employer from the oversight and administration of the program. So the state is administering this program. The employer is paying for it, but it's coming through the state, which I don't understand how that works. But apparently the state had to hire extra people to do it. They had to open up a new office. They call it the Minnesota Department of Employment and Economic Development. They have 400 full-time employees to oversee this process to make sure these employers get paid time off. So it's kind of like having a union now. You don't go to HR, you go to the government. Oh, it's crazy. I don't know how these things happen. It's causing an uneasiness from multiple state agencies and bureaucracies that oversaw the massive fraud scandal. Yeah, we already had a massive fraud scandal. We know how well Minnesota right now, I mean, we do know because we've got a great case history on how well they administer programs like childcare. The child care facilities that they say took up to $9 billion. They don't know yet, but they're estimating $9 billion of fraud. And the way that happens is they didn't do their due diligence. They didn't do the checks. According to Minnesota, they checked them every 6 months. Surprise visits and stuff like that. Some of these places have not had children in them for years. So I wonder about the competency or enabling that the state of Minnesota does to these programs. They're definitely not checking it. Now we got another 400 full-time employees in Minnesota, not here, Minnesota. And the reason I say this is if it even comes up in the state of Arizona, we need to storm the Capitol real quickly and talk to our legislatures and show them what it does at other places and beg them to not let that thing get through if it does. We can't let these things happen. We got to stop them now. That's why I like 50 states in this country. All these states can experiment with these crazy ideas, see how bad they destroy them, and then hopefully we learn from those lessons. See, a town hall columnist and Minnesota residents, Dustin Grage says, when you build a multi-billion-dollar state benefit program with weak oversight, fraudsters line up. That's a great way to put it. We've already seen what happens in Minnesota. The paid family leave system will be a magnet for abuse. It's been open a couple months. They've already seen a 700% increase over prior year. I don't know what's all going on in Minnesota, but Tim Waltz, when he was talking about this fraud and trying to cover it up, it was ridiculous looking and all that. He's just trying to cover it up and hide it and all that kind of stuff. And now he's got another thing to cover up. But he always used to brag when he was covering it up. He would brag about their rating, their business rating. We got this business rating. I wonder what the business rating is going to be next year or the year after that. It looks like Minnesota is chasing business away like California does. At least they're trying to. Maybe they're trying to catch California in that. I need to start checking U-Haul rates out of Minnesota. Yeah, that's how you can tell California's getting it wrong. Yeah, try renting a U-Haul from Los Angeles to Texas, and you're going to pay such a premium, you probably could have bought a truck. But if you go from Texas to Los Angeles, it's all but free. There's a reason for that. Because everybody wants to take them one way out, and they got to get them back. So they make you pay when you leave LA. Basically, what U-Haul's charging you is that surcharge to get that truck back for the next guy, because nobody's bringing it back by renting it back. Now, the way U-Haul works is if everything's equal and people are coming and going from all over the place, the fees are stable. But if there's a mass exodus, they have to charge more just to get the trucks back. They did hit them back. Right. And you pay for that before you take it, because U-Haul knows. They know. There's no way I'm getting this truck back, so you got to pay extra so I can pay someone to bring it here. Minnesota's not unique in enacting a state-paid family and medical leave program. We are one of 13 states, and plus the District of Columbia. I'm shocked. I didn't know states have become like that. District of Columbia doesn't surprise me. That's about as that's a communist place. Not the people that work there necessarily. Like, it's our home for our government. It's a government seat, but the town itself, like 90% liberal. The United States is an outlier. It's one of only 7 countries worldwide that lack a national paid leave and medical leave program. Good. That's according to the Federal Bureau of Labor Statistics. 73% of American civilian workers lack access to paid family leave. Good. That's 73% of American civilians. I would imagine out of that 73%, most of them don't even work. How would they have paid leave? 73%. That means, I'd be curious about the percentage of workforce. And I've worked for companies that had paid leave, but it wasn't 20 weeks a year. I don't know of any business that no business I've been associated with has ever done 20 weeks in a year. The governments, it's real easy for them to hike the prices, the wage, hike the wage up and then hike up the bennies. It doesn't cost them anything, but it's going to run businesses out. He said, we recognize that paid leave is a big change for Minnesota employers. That's why we work closely with employers around the state, plus many employer advocacy groups, to develop tools and materials to make administering paid leave as smooth as possible. We have received positive feedback from many employers, and we are constantly improving service offerings. The big problem is one that you can't fix by explaining it. You can't fix the cost. These employers are going to be burdened with huge cost. And a lot of those employers are going to move their facilities out of state. The ones that can. Obviously, if it's a service organization, you got to be there. You got to be there. The other ones will move. Manufacturing. Things that can go to a right to work state. They'll do it. And that's been the migration. You can look at it, and it scares the Democrats. That's why they want all these illegals in, like California wants all these illegals in. They want to count illegals in the census so that they're still relevant. Relevancy as far as elections and the number of House members, those kinds of things. They want to fudge those numbers. Count the illegals because our business people left. At some point, California's going to fail. Like Detroit. Detroit failed. And what happened then is the government does take it over, the federal government. I don't know exactly how that works, but there was a lot of retirees in Detroit, the fire department, police department, all that. They earn these retirement programs. They had those cut down, not eliminated, but cut down. I mean, that place went pretty much bankrupt. There was no money. And the federal government, I guess, has a fallback that would take care of it, but not at the richness that it was offered originally. I don't know how that works. I don't have any specific examples. I remember reading about it that it caused some distress amongst those people that were retiring. So if you're going to retire with a government job, make sure you do it in a state that's running positive numbers. You don't want one that's going upside down. If you have a retirement in California, yeah, you better hope they keep it together long enough to finish paying it. Trump administration's push to end some of the policies extended by Biden. One of them, and I think I mentioned this before, the temporary protected status. In this government, we put some countries on temporary protected status as far as admission into the country or as far as immigration into the country, those kind of things. So you're protected. I guess they can't deport you. That's when you got a TPS, temporary protected status. Well, Biden extended it, and it started for Somalia, and we're talking about Somalia here right now. It started in Somalia. I can't say. I thought it was like 1990. No, it's okay. An agency spokesman said under the immigration law of 1990, aliens protected by TPS are allowed to work in the United States and are shielded from removal as long as their country of origin has experienced temporary conditions, like a war, natural disaster, that would prevent their safe return. The Attorney General may extend a country's TPS status for 18 months at a time. Somalia received TPS in 1991. So it does go back to 1991. So they received a status of TPS of being protected, I guess because they had a war. They've held that designation for 35 years. And Trump says enough. It goes away. I think the war's over. Is it a place I want to live? No, but Detroit and Chicago, I don't want to live either. Maybe some people need a TPS from Chicago. He's going to change the TPS, and he's being sued about it. Of course, it's going to go to legal. There's roughly would force 1,080 Somalia that are receiving TPS protective status to self-deport or turn themselves into immigration enforcement. So apparently their green card would run out. It would be over. It would say, you're gone. Well, here's what the filing is claiming. It's in a Massachusetts district court. Wow. I would have thought Minnesota but there's Somalians all over, so it could go to Massachusetts probably. President Trump has smeared the Somali community publicly, categorically, and repeatedly. He's called Somali people garbage and low IQ. And he said that point blank. I don't want Somalia people in our country. And he made those meetings at the cabinet meeting last year. Of course, it's all public. It's all videotaped. It's all out there. They reflect a desire to target and punish Somali nationals based on their race and national origin in violation of the U.S. Constitution. Yeah, you can't do anything based on race, I guarantee you. National origin you can, because that's what TPS is. It's based on nationality. So of course he can. because that's what the law is. It's based on nationality. You could say no, nationality no longer should be able to have a TPS, and not on race, right? I don't think race. I don't think Trump has ever come in and said anything about the race. He definitely says Somali. There's no question about that. The lawsuit was brought by African communities together in partnership for the advancement of new Americans. And they listed Department of Homeland Security as a defendant. They say Trump had an eye towards Somalia since his first term in 2017 when he included the country in a travel ban. Yes, he did. I think there were 5 countries. And the thing that the 5 countries had in common was that their countries refused to help customs officials and border patrol with any information about individuals at all. They won't give any information. So Trump said, if the country will not help us vet anybody to come into the country, we're not going to take them. So he was called a racist and Islamophobic. Yeah, Islamophobic, because they happen to all be Islamic countries. They hate the United States so bad, we're not going to share information. Well, then we shouldn't take anybody from those countries. That's what that was all about. But it's saying that was against Somalia specifically. It was not. And it was only 5 countries. And believe me, there's a lot more Islamic countries than 5, but they all cooperated. They all said, sure, we'll help you do background checks. Somalia said no. That was the sole reason. That's not what they put in the papers, but that was it. And then now the thing is resurfaced in 25. Now, because of all the fraud and everything that the predominantly Somali-led fraud scheme, which it is, just by fact sheets. I mean, you can look. I forget the last number. It was like in the mid and high 80s was all Somali. So you could say it was Somali-led fraud scheme. It allegedly siphoned as much as $9 billion, and that's a number that has been floated out there, which is half of the total budget of these payments that have gone out to these daycare centers and other businesses that were suspected in fraud. And I think they looked at a randomized sampling, and they found that about 50% was fraud. So they said, well, it's probably 50% of the total number. They come up with $9 billion. Trump said Minnesota is a hub of fraudulent money laundering activity. I am, as President of the United States, hereby terminating, effective immediately, the temporary protective status for Somalians in Minnesota. He said that in November. Of course, the courts have been holding on to that, and they've extended the to March 17th, I guess, the Trump administration as a deadline to end it. So it didn't really happen immediately. And of course, Kristi Noem, the Homeland Security Director, which she still is, I think, until the end of the month, she made the designated switch official in January. It took a while to get the paperwork done. An agency spokesman for the Homeland Security said temporary means temporary. Country conditions in Somalia have improved to the point that it no longer meets the law's requirement for temporary protected status. Allowing Somali nationals to remain temporarily in the United States is contrary to our national interest. The Trump administration is putting America first. That all makes sense. I mean, that's logical. Temporary means temporary. The conditions in Somalia have changed, and it no longer meets the criteria. That would be TPS. So we take it off. I don't think that's the way the left sees it. I mean, they see, he's a racist and all that stuff. Today's filing argues dangerous conditions remain in place, citing there's terrorist activities. There's terrorist activity in every country, including ours. You just can't say that there's terrorist activity. I mean, name a country that doesn't have something. We have it. I guarantee you, it'd be tough to find one. Remember that guy they took to that prison. They deported him, took him down. What was he called? Minnesota. It wasn't a Minnesota dad. Was he a Boston dad, I think? Or I can't remember exactly where he was. But they just called him a dad versus MS-13. He's just a dad. He agreed, they agreed, the United States State Department agreed, okay, we won't deport him to Venezuela, I think is where he's from. because he says he's in danger. And they started listing countries, and all of them were no, 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 because there's no country out there that doesn't have some activity that's negative. And yet they came here and went to Chicago. I guess it made him feel at home. They say the 24 redesignation notice, Somalia continues to experience widespread insecurity due to armed conflict involving state and non-state actors, subjecting civilians to human rights abuses, including summary executions, indiscriminate and target killings, gender-based violence, child recruitment, disappearance, and physical abuse. I have no idea how bad it is or it isn't. I believe in when they say it's changed. It probably has. And we need to change the designation and move forward and just get this thing running back like it should, where temporary is temporary. One more thing that I thought of when Derek was here, but I didn't mention it, the SAVE Act that's going through. Of course, there's going to be a lot more talk about it. And I can tell you that the people on the left and the people that oppose the SAVE Act don't want to talk because they know it's a loser in the polls. It's a loser publicly. People want voter ID to be part of our life. They want it by huge margins. So they don't want to talk about it, but they're forced to. There's a lot of hearings on it. And I don't remember which senator was talking about all the negatives about the SAVE Act. It would cause people to be disenfranchised. Some minorities that don't have voter ID, and it would cause them to look for a birth certificate that maybe they can't find if you're married, and you need to go change it, and you can't find your papers. You're going to not be able to vote. And he mentioned the long list of this diatribe of the poor people in the United States that aren't smart enough to get an ID, which I think is insulting, terribly insulting. Well, I think it was Mike Lee from Utah that was next to speak. And he says, well, I got good news for you, Senator. All those concerns, I agree with you on all those concerns. And all those concerns are specifically addressed in this bill with a way to make that happen. Specifically addressed in order to help those people get through that process and to help them to bypass it in the short term. All that kind of stuff. We got all that taken care of for you, Ed. So thanks for bringing that up. Just to let you know that you should feel very comfortable right now that you're all taken care of. Well, of course, he's not going to be happy with that. He doesn't want it taken care of. He wants problems so that they can't pass it because they like it the way it is. They like it that there's chaos and there's cheating and there's confusion. He names all that diatribe of crap just to say I'm against it. I got to find a good reason, and I can't say because it would ruin our attempts to fraud. Can't say that. Well, what are we going to say? Oh, yeah, married women don't know how to get an ID, and they're going to go to the polls. They're going to get kicked out. None of that's true. None of that's true. And according to Mike Lee, and I haven't read the bill, Mike has. They got that all worked out. Also, there's an answer for that and assistance for that, which is great. There should be assistance. We don't want to leave any legitimate voter hanging. We don't. I don't think anybody does. I mean, I know that's the claim from the left that everybody on the right just wants to exclude people. Well, even the people on the right can't get elected if you exclude everybody. You need somebody. Somebody to vote. William Shatner, for you Star Trek fans. I don't know if you know him. William Shatner, he was Captain Kirk. Captain Kirk fell off a horse. Wow. I just got a note from Tyrone Jones. He wants to call in. And I'm texting him to use my cell phone number. My cell phone number, 9. Oh, wait. I just gave Tyrone the wrong one. My cell phone number is 928-941-0304. I had a typo, the first one. I corrected it and all that. Tyro Jones, pastor of Church for the City. I haven't had him on in a while, but he's always a great insight and a great guy to have on. He cares about the community, and that's why I go to the church. I mean, he really does a great job. I really admire what he's doing. William Shatner, he faces surgery right now. Surgery. The fell off a horse. I didn't realize how old he was. I watched William Shatner when I was young, when I was in the 60s, when he was on Star Trek, when he was Captain Kirk. He's 94 right now. 94. Now, see, I admire that. 94 years old, and he's still riding horses. I mean, granted, he fell off. That's not good. He recently fell off his horse. He said, look, ride the horse that can complete in equine skills, which is fast down and ends up on sliding stop. And that horse that I owned, I came off. So he's not only riding horses, he's riding horses like a BMX rider. I have to relate it to a bicycle. I don't do horses. She had a habit of going too far, like 6 inches to the side. And I'm riding it and I'm ready. And she goes too fast and sent him flying. I was a young stuntman. I'm not a young stuntman anymore. I started to roll and hit the dirt with my shoulder. So I wrecked my shoulder. Good for him. I mean, at 94 to be out there and doing that stuff. Well, now he says he has to go through surgery. And he explains it really well. He says it's a new type of surgery, shoulder operation called a reverse something or other. That's a good name. That's a weird to call it that, but okay. You put the ball in the socket and the thing, and then you come out 10 hours later and you're pain-free. So that's what I'm meandering towards. Okay. He's a horse rider. I don't think he's very thorough on the medical explanations, but it sounds like there's a opportunity for him to get through that and come out in one shape. That's great. At 94, he's worried about shoulder surgery, wonderful. He does suffer from tinnitus. I do too. I have some tinnitus. That's a ringing in the ears and all that. He got it at a Star Trek filming in 1990s. It was they had a bomb go off or something. One of the special effects was too close, too loud, too much of a problem, and he still has a ringing in his ears, and that's unfortunate. There's no effective treatment, and he remains focused on trying to raise money for a cure. I don't know if it's a GoFundMe page or something, but he's trying to raise money. He says the remaining youthful in his 90s, and he gives some secrets, just staying engaged in life, to stay curious. But the luck has a lot to do with it in your health, he says. Yeah, there's got to be some luck in there. Like, don't step in front of a moving car luck. Your life's energy, the soul energy of your body, is a product of health. If you're sick, you can't be energetic. You're dying. So my luck has been, I've been healthy all my life. And I think you can help that along. I mean, there's some people are going to have a problem. Some people got to get a disease. Some people are going to have something go on. And it's unfortunate, but if you're sitting on a couch, you're not going to remain energetic. You got to stay energetic. You got to jump up and you got to do something. And he's doing that. He's 94. Helen and I were watching something yesterday on Willie Nelson, and I was curious about how old he is. Willie Nelson is still doing concerts, and he's the same age. Yeah, he has stage 4 lung cancer. I think it was stage 4. But he had to cancel some of his concerts. Oh, he's 92. He's not 94. He's 92. He had stage 4 lung cancer, and I don't know. They got him taken care of, and now he's back with it again. And he sued up and saw a picture of him in the hospital bed after his surgery with a guitar. He still wants to sing. And does that keep him youthful? He thinks so. Shatner thinks that him staying active keeps him youthful. So probably, I think getting up and doing that does keep you youthful. Making sure that you keep active, stay active. There's I sent Tyrone a message the other day about a pastor in South Chicago. And it's one that I'd heard about before. Is Pastor Corey Brooks. Pastor Corey Brooks. And I just liked his messaging and what he said in an article. So I sent it to Pastor, and Pastor knows the guy. And he asked me if I'd want him on the show. And I apparently he's going to be in town at some point, somewhere around the 4th of July, I think. He's going to be in town. And I said, great. And I hope he can set that up. I have no idea if he can or not. I don't know what Pastor Brooks is doing. Except right now, I know he's walking across America. He's walking across America to bring attention to values, and that's what I talked about the other day. And I got another article from him this morning that he says, on my long walk across America, I took a weekend tour and found myself in Music City, Nashville, Tennessee. It's my home state. I always love coming back to Tennessee, to Nashville. The neon lights of Broadway, the music pouring out of the bars, voices rising spontaneously in song, and of course, those stumbling with too much whiskey in them. I don't know if that's something I look forward to seeing. I don't know. Yeah, for some reason, as I talked to folks I met from musicians to churchgoers to families and the young, I could sense a certain tension and uncertainty in their voices about the present and the future. Nashville is at a moral crossroad. I think the country is, and I think that's something that Pastor Brooks is trying to bring out and try to bring to light. And that's why he's walking. That's why he's writing. That's why he's doing these things. He said, I passed by countless churches, the crosses standing tall in the sky, many artists singing of redemption and finding grace. There's still the local traditional culture that has fueled Nashville for so long. But there's a change, a shift of sorts happening. The pressure that comes from the larger national culture influenced by non-traditional and postmodern forces. You can hear it in songs, pop crossovers, party anthems, glorifying hookup culture and its excesses, lyrics that chase trends over timeless truths. When I hear it's just a room key, you ain't gonna lie to me. Can't you just use me like I'm using you? It leaves sadness and emptiness in its wake. And I'm assuming those are in parentheses, and those are from a song. And he talks about fatherlessness, and the consequences. He knows them too well. I've been walking across America to raise funds for a community center designed to promote family values, education, jobs, courtship, marriage, child rearing, and responsible finances. I'm not trying to be old-fashioned, believe me. I've heard worse come out of O Block in Chicago, which is home to drill rap and my church. I don't know what drill rap is, but it sounds harsh. I get the same feeling of emptiness and soulness from both pieces of music. Maybe it's because I've seen the consequences of those who live a hookup culture lifestyle, which never ends well and usually results in an unwanted baby or two. And then they come knocking on my door seeking salvation through Jesus Christ. He got into a conversation with a songwriter locally there in Nashville. And he says, he told me the industry is about what sells. It has always been that way, but it is more entrenched now due to corporate executives who chase money and clicks over art. The songwriter's friend, a local pastor, said the same thing was happening to families. He told me how the kids, as well as the kids from the church, were being bombarded with ideological messages about their skin color, their gender identity, and even about their parents. He felt that their education was being compromised. Both these men he talked to were in their mid-20s, and they'd grown up without fathers. Yep, those warnings we heard about 30 or so years ago are now realities before my eyes. The Black community has long dealt with fatherlessness and has borne that stigma for decades. But it is no secret that fatherlessness has been rising across all races and ethnicities at alarming rates. South Chicago, far too many kids grow up without dads to guide them and without strong models of manhood rooted in responsibility and faith. The streets fill the void with gangs, revenge, and music that glorifies the wrong things in life. Lyrics that I can't even print here. I know the consequences of fatherlessness all too well, and that's why I've been walking across America to raise funds for a community center designed to promote family values, education, jobs, courtship, marriage, child rearing, and responsible finances. When you peel back the layers, you see the causes of fatherlessness are the same everywhere. Breakdown of values of faith, instant gratification before discipline. In Nashville, the decline may be subtler than in the South Side, but there's the same emptiness where purpose should be, the same moral confusion instead of clarity, and the same lostness of soul instead of the vivacity of life. It isn't Nashville, Chicago. It's America. America's at a crossroads. Still many Americans living the principles life, as I've mentioned on Rooftop Revelations, but there is still an underbelly, and this problem of fatherlessness isn't going away anytime soon. Good news, redemption's possible. These two young men I met, the songwriter and the pastor, found Jesus, rebuilt their damaged families, and shared values of God, family, and opportunity. Nashville can reclaim its soul by doubling down on its faith, heritage, letting songs of truth rise above the noise. Chicago can rise by rebuilding fathers, restoring merit, and inviting God's presence back into broken places. And America, we can turn the tide one step, one prayer, one restored life at a time. That's Pastor Corey Brooks. I've stumbled onto him in the last few days, and of course, made me think of Tyrone. I see a lot of him and Tyrone and vice versa. On what Tyrone's trying to accomplish in the city here in Yuma and Yuma County. It's not. I mean, he goes beyond his church. I mean, he tries to incorporate it. He works with other churches and other things. It's the whole community's worried about. Amazing for both of them, and I hope. And here's what I'll do: if Cory Brooker comes, if he comes to town, and he's got time, and Pastor Tyrone can talk him in here. I want them both in here, just the three of us. I'm going to lock the doors, not let anybody in. I'm going to turn the phones off, but because, yeah, I'm possessive. I want to have that conversation. I would look forward to that very much. Melania, the wife of the president, Donald Trump. It's a documentary also. It did amazing at the box office as far as amazing compared to other documentaries. It got 7 million in the first opening weekend, 7 million, and that's the highest for a documentary in over a decade. So it did well. Of course, they put, and I say they, I think it was MGM, Amazon MGM Studios put 40 million into the documentary and another 35 million spent on marketing. Well, getting 7 million in the first weekend isn't going to cover all that. It's got to have some legs. It's got to have some staying power. Well, they developed it with everything in mind as far as putting it on Amazon and having it on there and getting royalties from that. Well, the documentary is about the 20 days before President Donald Trump's second term in office. Just following her around, and I haven't seen it yet. It's on Amazon. I know I'm going to watch it. I'll watch it with Helen, and I'll be very interested in seeing it. But it's getting good reviews. It's getting a lot of positiveness, and I know a lot of people saw it here in Yuma when it came in. It's the most streamed film on the platform in just one day, and the most streamed content overall in the United States, according to Flix Patrol. I don't know who that is. And somebody that follows this kind of activity. He says, as of Thursday, the film and its third most streamed overall, behind Amazon Prime series Scarpetta and Young Sherlock. I guess those are really gangbusters. So on opening day, went to number one, and it's still hanging in there as very high. So that's very good for them. Good for them. I hope it does well. Kevin Wilson, he's Amazon's MGM head of domestic theatrical distribution, said the momentum is an important first step in what we see as a long tail life cycle for both the film and the forthcoming docuseries, extending well beyond the theatrical window and into what we believe will be a significant run for both on our service. Wow. So it was panned, I think, by critics. Let me see. The Millennium documentary was also, it was panned. It was panned by entertainment critics. And it was called a form of propaganda just for the Trump administration. But the audience users, the people that went and saw the movie on Rotten Tomatoes website has them giving it a 99% approval rating. That's rare to get a 99% approval rating. So I think the critics were biased. And I'm sure that the people that went to see it were biased. I mean, only the people that would want to know more about the Trump family. I'm sure the left people didn't go see it. Otherwise, it wouldn't have been 99%. I think they would have probably hated every minute of it. I think. Let me see. White House balks at new CBS staffer over Liz Cheney ties. Now, I think you all know who Liz Cheney is. That's Dick Cheney's daughter. And she was a, excuse me, she was an upcoming star. Yeah, she was. She was an upcoming star. She was a star in the House. I mean, in the Senate, I think. She was like number 3 in power. You know, she held a management position there. She was up there. She was well regarded, high ranking, all that. And then she became the vice chair of the January 6th Select Committee. No, not because she was selected to be on that committee by the Republicans, which is what is normal. What is normal when there's a committee, you get so many Democrat seats and so many Republican seats. Well, the Republicans pick their senators from their caucus, and the Democrats pick the senators from their caucus, which is what happened on January 6th committee. Nancy Pelosi said, "No, I don't like your picks. I'm going to select 2 Republicans myself," which we only got 2 Republicans, which was unusually small. But there's only 2 that she liked. One was Liz Cheney, and who was the other one? Adam Kissinger. Yeah, both of them became terrible. I mean, both of them became, disliked in the Republican Party. They didn't like what they did on the committee. I mean, there were things done on the committee that were just wrong. Secret things going on that weren't supposed to be secret. Things that were burned afterwards. Records that weren't kept. Deleted videos. All kinds of stuff that are against the policies, against the rules, and cause a lot of trouble. Of course, they're not in office anymore. I think Kinsinger's gone also, but Liz Cheney got such a bad reputation from her antics and anti-Trumpisms and having Trump derangement syndrome, same as Kinsinger, that she lost the primary. Now, I mentioned earlier that Corzine, is behind Paxton in Texas right now in the primary, which is unusual. A sitting senator doesn't lose primaries very easily. Liz Cheney was one of them that did. And it wasn't small. It was 66% to 29%. I mean, that is not a slap in the face. That's a hit brick in the face. Yeah, that was heavy. So Liz Cheney was out. And she's bitter and she's angry. She still hates Trump. And she doesn't mind talking about it. She goes on a lot of talk shows and The View and whatever she can do. She actually endorsed Kamala Harris for president. Yeah, her and Dick Cheney both endorsed Kamala Harris. That Trump derangement syndrome, when you get it, be careful. It runs deep. It affects your life. You would even vote, if you have Trump derangement syndrome, you would vote for Kamala Harris. That's just a scary thought. I don't know if there's a medical procedure to take care of it yet, but somebody should look into that. It's dangerous. The reason her name's in the news and the reason I mention her is that the whole time that she was on the January 6th committee, she had a spokesman, which is not unusual for a senator. A senator may have a staff of 35, 40 people working for them, and they just do. And her spokesman, Jeremy Adler, was the communications executive for her. Now, Jeremy Adler did not have any better reputation going through this whole J6 than what Liz Cheney did. And I think that his appeal became as trashed as Liz Cheney's because because the way he handled it. Well, CBS has just reportedly hired him. Yeah. And it's causing some concern. The White House said, look, CBS just destroyed whatever ounce of credibility they had left, hiring an aide to a prosecutor who built her career trying to put President Donald Trump, in jail. Last year, CBS agreed to pay $16 million to Trump's future presidential library or charitable causes to settle the president's election interference lawsuit against the network over its handling of a 60-minute interview with Vice President Kamala Harris. White House insider says it's really mind-boggling that Weiss and David Ellison, those are CBS owners, would allow CBS to elevate such an unserious and dishonest person. So he's hitting the ground running at CBS with a few comments about his credibility, a few comments about his ability to be an effective news reporter. I don't know how well it's going to work for him. We'll see. I didn't know his name. I didn't remember Jerry Adler. I watched in heart some of the Liz Cheney stuff as she went through all that. The J6 committee was a joke. They were told it was hands off. Yeah, hands off. We are not allowed to interview any of the participants on this list. You know, they gave a list like Nancy Pelosi, couldn't interview her. Yeah. And see, Nancy Pelosi controlled the whole thing. And Nancy, the alleged cover-up and the alleged setup was all runs through Nancy Pelosi's doors if it happened. And I think it's very credible that it did happen. I mean, just too many things didn't work out. They couldn't interview anybody that worked for the police department, and I'm talking the police department, the Capitol Hill Police, that was on site or working there that isn't currently employed. Yeah, if you're not currently employed, you can't give testimony. And that included the chief. The chief was the one that was screaming about it. The chief was the one that was on the phone trying to call the DOD, anybody to come help. The chief was the one that called the National Guard again after he was told not to by people in charge like Nancy Pelosi's office. He did it anyway. And he got stonewalled. And he's the one that called another police department to come in and rescue him and make sure that they could quell this thing. So he called another one in because the DOD wouldn't help, the National Guard wouldn't help. So he called them in. And they got it under control. And then the National Guard showed up and took photo ops. He's written a book about it. He's testified on Talk Media about it. They would never talk to him at the J6 committee. They just talked to people that they knew aligned themselves with Trump derangement syndrome. So yeah, I think there's a lot of smoke there. I think there's something really bad that happened. I hope we get to the bottom of it. I mean, I'm glad that Trump let everybody out, including the people that may have deserved to have some punishment. Some people, I mean, if you hit a cop, if you broke windows, if you did all that, I mean, there's crimes that they should have paid for. The people that were invited in and walked in behind the velvet ropes or were outside, there were people outside that were just on the steps that got arrested and charged with heinous crimes of insurrection. It was just terrible. I mean, it was just a horrible moment. And the left still hangs on to that it was real, that it was a real insurrection. They were really trying to take over the government. Really? There wasn't a weapon found. There were some listed. One was a pole that someone had a flag on because it had a pointy end on it. Ornamental pointy end, by the way. Yeah, that was it. They couldn't find any firearms or bombs or anything. None of that. And it was an insurrection. We're going to take over the entire government. Yeah, I'm just so thankful it didn't happen. It came very close, I imagine. Of course not. That's ridiculous. But that's what they sold to the public, and there's a lot of people that sucked it up and loved it because they have the Trump's derangement syndrome. You know, cause your brain to think that way, I guess. SAVE Act. I want to talk a little bit about it. The Senate GOP, they're looking at the blame game right now. I mean, they're trying to stop it. Senate Republicans know that Trump-backed voter ID legislation is doomed to fail. They know it. And it's just an article, it's opinion. No, it's doomed to fail. Well, if the Senate Republicans know that, that's because they've doomed it to fail. Because there's avenues to make it not fail, and those have been pointed out. And they're trying to find a way to pin the blame on the Senate Democrats. Exactly. Now, part of the plan to get the SAVE Act done is to make sure that we have long debate about it. Because then the Democrats have to expose themselves, and they don't want to do that. Because it's popular. The SAVE Act's popular amongst Democrats. It's popular amongst everybody. And the Democrats don't want to go on the air and say, I hate what's popular. They want to pin their feet down to the fire. Now, Trump is being harsher at Thune, and he's being harsher at Cochran. He told Cochran, I'm not going to endorse you, but, if you get the bill passed, you do the bill, get the bill passed, and then we'll talk about it. And John Thune and Cochran work together, and they like each other. They're friends, because, he's the majority leader in the Senate. Now, he said he plans to bring the bill to the floor next week. But Republicans won't take the route of launching into a talking filibuster despite pressure from President Trump and the GOP base to do so. He just says we don't have the votes to get it to proceed, and I'm sure he's factual, because he's the guy that would get the votes. I mean, he's the guy that would round it up. He's the guy that would make a case to get it done. So yeah, when he says we don't have the votes, that's true. Well, he doesn't. But I would say that it's because he doesn't want to. He said, but that's a function of math, and there isn't anything I can do about it. You hear that? The guy that's in charge of getting the vote says there's nothing I can do. I mean, I understand the president's got a passion to see this issue addressed, as we all do. I think that passion should be stronger, even from Trump. And I think Trump's pretty adamant. That if this thing doesn't pass, the midterms are doomed. If this thing doesn't pass, because we can't curtail the cheating, we can't curtail the problems, the confusion, the chaos, the waiting weeks for results and then not trusting them, and the whole population will be in doubt on reality of what the facts are, and then you're never allowed to say I want an audit, because then you're a denier, no matter which way the vote goes. Yeah, you're not allowed to look. Because there's no fraud that happens here, not even in Somalia-laden Minneapolis. Well, I hate to tell you, there is. Fraud exists, and the way our electoral system works right now in most states is so open to it, so available to be defrauded, without any double checks, without anything that's it would deter illegal activity. You're just leaving the doors open. And then say, it's the cleanest election ever. Yeah, the second you say it, I don't believe it. So while the end result, after an exhaustive marathon of debate, would allow Republicans to pass the Safeguarding America Voter Eligibility Save America Act at a simple majority threshold, Thune has time and again warned that the votes aren't there among Republicans to block Democratic amendments that could completely reshape the bill. And of course, so what? The votes aren't there. So he's already given up. Yeah. I'm glad that we don't have a history of senators that just give it up. We wouldn't have the great things done in this country that are done right now. I don't know. I don't have any clue as to why he feels the way he does. And why he won't give it his energy, and he won't give it the opportunity. But there's something there that he's not quite explained. All he says, I don't have the votes. He doesn't tell you why he doesn't have the passion behind it. He doesn't tell you why he's not going to go. Look at Mike Johnson. Mike Johnson has suggested, now he's the Speaker of the House. He has suggested that, look, I'm just not going to pass anything from the Senate until this thing passes. The SAVE Act passes. They pass our bill. because the House has passed the SAVE Act. So I'm just going to hold everything until Thune comes to gets the job done. I hope that comes to pass. I think that would be awesome. Trump says, I will guarantee you this the midterms. If you don't get it, big trouble. He told that to the House Republicans at the annual policy retreat earlier this week. Senate Democrats are nearly unified, except John Fetterman. Fetterman's the only one that has an independent brain because it's damaged. That's what he was when he was elected anyway. He had a damaged brain. He couldn't do the debate, if you remember right. He had to have some kind of electronic assistance to do the break because he couldn't voice what he was thinking, but somehow he could type it. It's weird. But it's cleared up, obviously. It's cleared up, and as it cleared up his vision, and it cleared up his thought process, it's cleared up his independence. And now the Democrats don't like him. And Republicans appreciate him, but don't get me wrong, he's not a Republican. He's not. He's just a common sense guy that's going to state the obvious, even if it's not politically correct for his party, which is kind of fun. It is kind of fun. It's kind of like a Rand Paul. I like Rand Paul. And he's his own man. And he's going to do what Rand Paul does. I think Fetterman's more like a Rand Paul. But Rand Paul's very, very, very conservative. He's a libertarian, but he's very conservative. Meanwhile, they're unified, except Fetterman and all that. And Chuck Schumer, and I don't know. When I see him, he triggers my gag reflex. I borrowed that from John Kennedy, our Louisiana senator. I just like that, trigger my gag reflex. And he just says the most outrageous thing, even if it's total opposite of what he believed a year ago. And he's just adamant that I'm just stupid. He reiterated his opposition. He said the act would change its legislation towards destroying and purging voter rolls across the country. It's a bill that destroys our country. And it's not about showing ID when you show up to vote. He thinks it's going to be about kicking people out and not, all that. It will. It will. It'll kick a lot of people out that shouldn't be there or that died or that moved out of country or that moved to another state and they'd have to re-register there. Yeah, it would. It would do all that. It would purge, and purge is the right word. It would purge the votes that don't belong. But if you're a U.S. citizen, you belong 100%, and there's help in this bill to make sure that you can get over that hurdle of whatever you're lacking that you need to prove your citizenship. And there is a process in place for that, and it's one that they will help you with. And I'd love to hear that. So if you say I can't find my birth certificate, say give us a call. We'll help you. Good. There's something in place for that. I haven't read it, but I'm glad to find that out from Senator Bill Lee. Senator Ron Johnson out of Wisconsin said, I suggest our first goal will be to try to pass it, but I understand how difficult that is, and I'm sympathetic with the positions of not ending the filibuster. No one's talking about ending. Well, there are talk about ending the filibuster, but that's not what they're talking about in this necessarily. I think most people, including Donald Trump, are talking about going to a talking filibuster, which is legal and on the books, and it's not ending anything. They stopped using the talking filibuster and they instituted the zombie filibuster. The zombie filibuster is, rather than say a word, you just say, I'm invoking the zombies filibuster. And that's not the real procedure. I don't know what the procedure is, but that's what you do. And then everyone says, oh, okay, well, I'll go home or we'll go on with other business and just shelve it. And nothing happens until you get 60 votes. You have to go around which isn't going to happen on this one. It's not going to happen. So I said, well, nothing we could do. It's filibuster and we have to drop it. Where the talking filibuster ties up the Senate and you have to stay at the podium. You have to stay there, keep talking. And it creates conversation. It's going to create a lot of work. And these guys have to stay up at night and they don't get to go home on the weekends. And they're going to have to earn their $200,000 salary and all the perks that go along with it. They're going to have to earn it. And that's the way it's always been Originally in the Constitution, there was no word named filibuster. That was something came later. But originally, the Senate always had unlimited talk. Unlimited. Yep. You could talk for a whole year if you wanted to. It was unlimited. That's what they did away with. They did away with which was given to us in the Constitution. They did away with it. The filibuster, as we know it today, just says if you don't have a 60% vote instead of a majority, the majority is what passes bills in the Senate. All you need is a majority, unless somebody triggers the filibuster, and then a majority won't work. I saw a chart on this the other day of how often that's used now. When it was first put in, and I'm talking the zombie filibuster, it was used a handful of times a year, and now it is skyrocketing. I think it's 300 times. Now it's just becoming a regular means of the minority party controlling the conversation. It's become out of control. It's become ridiculous. I was never a proponent early on of eliminating the filibuster. I am now. I'm in favor of eliminating the zombie filibuster. I mean, if you're going to do what we traditionally call filibuster and just continue talking and continue keeping the floor open and continue the conversation, continue the debate as it was set up. Yeah, but it's too easy now to just say, I don't like that bill, I'm going to kill it. And it doesn't take much. Now, if the minority party doesn't want it for any reason, no, we're not going to do it. Because it's rare that we have 60 senators of the same party. I don't know when that's happened in our history. It probably has, but I don't know when. And of course, then it would be like it was traditionally, where you have conversation, you just go and vote. And at least the party with 60 could overcome it with just voting, and it wouldn't go to the zombie. It would just say, nope, no zombie for you. So I think the zombie filibuster has run its course to the point where it has been abused, overused, and it's become such a power tool that we go back to traditional means, where if you're going to occupy the Senate, then you better have something to say, and you better talk. And a lot of legislation has been painfully passed with that process. Painful. People that were devoted and dedicated, that said, we're not just gonna let this go. We're gonna keep talking until we come to a solution. We come to a resolution, and they do. And it shuts down everything until you're done talking. You don't go home. And these senators have become soft. It's a cushy job. That's why at 84 years old, we still got senators running. I don't have to stay up at night. I can go take a nap. And I know they don't all stay up at night, but there needs to be contingents of people that occupy the floor. They have to. I'll be curious to see where that goes. But I'm more in favor of it now than I never was. And it's not because the Republicans are in. It's when I saw the charts and I saw how much is being abused. And we still need to have open and unended talk. That was originally designed in there, that there's no limit. There's no limit to talking. Well, now there is, because you could shut it down now. See, they changed the rules with this zombie filibuster. They said, look, enough talk. I need to go to have dinner. I'm declaring it a filibuster, and it's off the table to talk about until you get 60 votes. And that shut it down. I think it's lazy. It's become a weapon, unfortunately. Mark Kelly is still in the news. I don't know if this is helping him or hurting him. I don't know. Mark Kelly on Monday of this week and talked about the current nuclear crisis in the Middle East and directly to the 2018 collapse of the Iran nuclear deal, which is Trump's fault. In 2018, when Donald Trump was in the White House, he tore up the Iran nuclear deal. Iran was operating within strict limits that prevented the development of a bomb. That's a lie. I mean, Not a lie that Donald Trump ended it. It is. That's true. It was ended because Iran wasn't operating within the limits. In fact, they even tell you now they weren't operating within the limits. I think everybody knew it. Nobody wanted to face it. They were enriching beyond what, and they were not allowing people in to do the inspections. They were working on a ballistic missile program, which was against their program, which we know they did because they have them, and they've got abundance of them. And we knew where the plants were. We have intelligence that knows. It was going to sunset in 15 years anyway. It was just temporary anyway. It was, but they were using it as a shield so that, you know, people would stay at their distance and say, well, you know, we got a deal, so we have to enact. Well, they got a deal that they didn't abide by, and that's why Trump ripped it up. It was a 2015 pact which had barred them from enriching uranium beyond 3.67%, which is all you need for nuclear power plants. It was strictly for power plants. Although by 23, though, they confirmed Iran had leaped to 60% purity. And international inspectors later flagged particles as high as 84%. Of course, they weren't allowed in very often. Inspectors were denied many times. And now they say that they've got enough enriched nuclear material to do like 11 bombs. And that's, again, I think that's been talked about by our intelligence too, that, you know, they were able to get that done. And it was Barack Obama that came up with this ridiculous pact in the first place and it was called the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, which was due to sunset. Why would you? And it was going to sunset. But they were hiding nuclear efforts, and it enabled Iran to build up the military, withdraw allied pressure and sanctions. And that's what it did. We'll make a deal. We'll take away all your sanctions and give you money. So Obama made a deal, shook hands on a comprehensive plan of action, joint, that was on the nuclear, which they ignored and did it anyway. But Obama gave them back their money that was frozen and took away sanctions, so they could build up their armies and everything and do all the weaponry that they've got right now that's been in Ukraine, been in Russia, been attacking the people, you know, the Navy as well as their neighbors. They built all that up because of thanks to Obama taking away all the sanctions and everything, giving them money. Biden gave him money. He paid ransom, which is illegal, and Biden said it has nothing to do with that. This is just the frozen money, and Iran obviously stated that they won't release these prisoners until it's delivered, but it's not a ransom. I don't know how the press ignored all that at the time and didn't label it what it was. I mean, there was people out there that did. I mean, there was people that said it, but within that bubble of liberal news and the liberal bubble, yeah, it never happened. It never did. The Pope has criticized the United States and Israel for the military campaign in Iran. We need to find solutions without weapons. I think that's fine. I agree. We should be able to. I know Trump tried. They're not going to do it. And they're not even going to do it with the weapons that have fallen. I don't know at what point that they decide to talk, legitimately talk. I don't know. People didn't know in World War II what it took to get Japan to talk. I mean, Japan had already lost the war. As far as, you know, their navy no longer was around the world. Their navy was confined to Japan. They were being closed down on. They were being overpowered. There were bombings going on in Japan that were devastating. And before nuclear, devastating bombings, fire bombings that wiped out Tokyo, killed hundreds of thousands of people. And they wouldn't quit because they had a strong central, you know, government pride or country pride or, you know, or emperor, you know, following and all that. Nobody knew. They dropped not the first bomb, but the second nuclear bomb, unconditional surrender, which I don't know what it's going to take for Iran. Maybe it's something Iran. Maybe it's the same. Maybe there's got to be something very big, not nuclear. I don't think that we've got much more capability. We can do things without nuclear today. We don't need to do that. And because nuclear is so much collateral damage, we don't want to do anything like that. But the Pope is asking, pray for peace, work for peace, less hatred. Hatred keeps growing in the world. I agree with all that. Find solutions without weapons to resolve problems. I completely agree. I pray it's necessary. I mean that we get to that point. I mean, it's great to have this big military, this wonderful military, and all that, and hopefully we use it as a deterrent. But when it doesn't work as a deterrent, and people know it doesn't work as a deterrent, people know we're not going to use it, then you might as well not have it. And I think Trump understands that, and he's following presidents that, had their hands tied behind their back, that just wouldn't do it. I think it takes great courage for him to do that, and it's horrible. But so's living with the 47 years of Iran and knowing that they're getting stronger and they're getting closer to a nuclear weapon. Do you think if they had a nuclear weapon at any time, they wouldn't have used it by now? Of course they would. Just look at the ideology. Look at what they're willing to sacrifice. They're willing to sacrifice everything to take Israel off the map, to take us off the map. They're big Satan. Death to Americas every day with them. He says, I am following with deep concern, this is the Pope, what is happening in the Middle East and in Iran during this tumultuous time. Stability and peace are not achieved through mutual threats, nor through the use of weapons, which sow destruction, suffering, and death, but only through reasonable, sincere, and responsible dialogue. Faced with the possibility of a tragedy of immense proportion, I make a heartfelt appeal to all the parties involved to assume the moral responsibility of halting the spiral of violence before it becomes an unabridged chasm. May diplomacy regain its proper role, and may the well-being of people who yearn for peaceful existence founded on justice be upheld. And let us continue to pray for peace. I'm with him. I'm absolutely with him. Let's pray for that. That doesn't mean that we let a country run rogue and threaten everybody in the neighborhood for 47 years and not stand up to the bully. At some point, it has to happen. That's all the time I have today. And thanks to everybody for listening. This is Mortgage One Studio, live with Russ Clark Show.